bitch. Oh, excuse you? Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry Annie. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Hey y'all, welcome and happy Wednesday. Yes, it's Wednesday. Almost forgot you. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in celebrity news, hot topics, pop culture, all that good stuff. I'm like, why am I getting so many emails and stuff? I'm like literally looking at my stuff, and it's like, um, hold on, I'm sorry, because it's like work stuff. All right, y'all. So we back. Sorry about that. I was like, all of a sudden, I was like the worst time to be checking messages. But anyway, so basically, thank you for tuning in. Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in celebrity news, pop culture, hot topics. We even throw a little politics in it, depending on if it fits within the construct of the show. So yeah, if that's a show for you, definitely stick around because we have a lot of tea to spill today, including we have some news on R. Kelly trying to get himself up out of prison. Harvey Weinstein, we have, he went to court. He was found guilty of SA, so we're gonna get into that. Diddy's ex-girlfriend was out here saying that he is bi-curious, which I'm like, sis, this is like Elon Musk dropping the bomb that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Like, who didn't know that? So we'll talk about that. Plus, for all my Christians out here, someone by the name of Michael Tait basically came out and was exposed because he said, yeah, he's confessing to unwanted sexual advances of men of the, people of the same gender, men, and Booger sugar use. So we got to get into that. Kim Kardashian is calling out ICE for their, ripping the families apart. And of course, people got a problem with it. So we'll get into that. I'm just surprised the Kardashians actually speaking up. Britney Spears is going in on some of her exes. She went on a whole rant. I got the post. We'll talk about it. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom's relationship is apparently on the rocks. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but then more stuff started coming out about it. So we'll talk about that. Tamar Braxton has laid out an olive branch to Loni Love, apologizing over calling her big back Cadillac. So we'll get into that. T.S. Madison is defending NeNe leaks against these transphobic allegations. So we'll get into that story. Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann, y'all are an embarrassment at this point because they were forced to move out of their foreclosed mansion by the U.S. Marshals. So we'll get into that. Plus, we have some news on Drag Race France. The queens have been revealed. We'll get into that. And Noah's Ark. One of the stars of Noah's Ark is speaking out on why the groundbreaking drama is still resonating with people 20 years later, because the show did launch on Logo 20 years ago in 2005. So here we are in 2025, and they spoke out about the show. So we have that and whatever else is going to be popping out in the news. But before we get to these topics, you can please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I'll be putting in timestamps at the end of the show so that way those who come in the playback can just follow along with the topics at hand instead of just sitting through all the banter that we do during the live session. Okay, so let me hit my banner. Let's get to some of these topics. No comments have come in yet, but they'll see them popping up on the side. Without further ado, let's get into our first topic. Let's talk about R. Kelly, who is trying to find a way to get himself out of prison. He is currently serving 31 years in jail for his sex crimes. Now he wants to get out of a North Carolina federal prison because his attorneys are claiming that his life is in danger, that there was someone of the Aryan Nation that tried to unalive him while he was behind bars, and said that, yeah, they was put up to it. So according to Variety, excuse me, R. Kelly's legal team has filed an emergency motion seeking his immediate release from federal custody to home detention, claiming that his life is in danger and is accusing the government of misconduct. In Tuesday's filing reviewed by Variety, Kelly's attorneys claim that they have explicit evidence that officials solicited an inmate to unalive him while in custody at a federal penitentiary in North Carolina, where he is serving a 3-decade sentence. His counsel provided a sworn declaration from Mikhail Glenn Stein, a terminally ill inmate, who stated that officials offered him freedom in his final days in exchange for Kelly's unaliving. Stein claimed that he was told Kelly and his attorneys were planning to expose damaging information, as the filing alleges that officials violated attorney-client privilege by intercepting personal correspondence. Stein claimed that his officials told him he would be charged with Kelly's unaliving, but that evidence would be mishandled and there would be no conviction. Stein, who apparently is a leader of the Aryan Brotherhood, arrived at Kelly's unit this past March and thought he was prepared to take his life. He had a change of heart and instead told Kelly that the Bureau of Prisons officials directed him to carry out his unaliving. What did he do? Did R. Kelly start doing a step in the name of love, and that's what made you change your mind? Grandma minds want to know. What was the cause? If this turns out to be true, why did you all of a sudden have a change of heart? Because I see that you are terminally ill. I guess when people say, like, I have a terminal illness, I have nothing to lose at this point, so I'm going to pretty much come out and say all of this other stuff and confess if this stuff turns out to be true. And then all of a sudden you had a change of heart. But I would love to know, like, what was the change of heart? That all of a sudden you love black people? Because aren't Aryans, like, people of the Aryan Brotherhood, aren't they racist? So, so they said that Kelly's counsel alleges that in June they learned of a second member of the Aryan Brotherhood who was directed by officials to unalive both Kelly and Stein. They claim that Kelly is in danger and he remains in custody with other members of the Brotherhood. But I don't understand how you got him surrounded by people that are deemed racist. Like, why would you even be putting someone who is black in a room with people who are part of the Aryan Brotherhood and they trying to take out R. Kelly? Like, I want to know, what is the whole, I mean, is it that they feel like they get some brownie points by, oh yeah, I stepped up and I killed this big celebrity that we have in prison? So Kelly's attorney, Bo B. Brinley, is asking the judge to release him to home detention on a temporary furlough. A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago declined Variety's request for comment. Now, the singer we don't need to go into what his whole name is. We know it's Robert Sylvester Kelly, was initially convicted of 9 counts of a superseding indictment in September 2021. He was charged with violating the Mann Act and racketeering that involved the sexual exploitation of children. The following June, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. In February 2023, Kelly was separately sentenced to 20 years in prison for child crimes, with the judge ruling that all but 1 year would be served concurrently with his previous 30-year sentence. Would that be considered because they're feeling like that's time spent or time served or whatever? So they said this past February, an appeals court upheld Kelly's racketeering and sex trafficking convictions, as well as his 30-year prison sentence. The court rejected his claims that a trial evidence was inadequate and that the trial judge made improper rulings. So I feel like in this case, it's like, R. Kelly is a low-down, dirty dog. The things that he has done to many people's children, and the fact of the matter that there's some of y'all out here that still defend this man off of the harm that he has done to other people because he got freaky-ass tendencies, and that's something he should have dealt with. If you was diddled with as a child, that is not something you should have been passing down to someone else's people and putting that pain and vitriol on them other children. I mean, we all knew R. Kelly was a child diddler when he went and pissed on Sparkle's niece back in the day. And Wendy Williams was riding around a damn limo watching that video and exposed it. And everybody still looked the other way when he married Aaliyah at 15, when she lied on the paperwork and said she was 18. That should have been a tell. But back in those days, nobody cared. And back in those days, nobody made a big deal out of those situations. We kind of just looked the other way. It was no big deal. It wasn't something we dealt with. But now that we're in a situation of social media accountability, Me Too, Time's Up, all that stuff. Now everybody is feeling the need that, yes, we need to talk about that. And I believe because of Me Too and Time's Up and all that, and the documentaries that were coming out on R. Kelly, is why people spoke up and why people brought it up and why people went and finally held his feet to the damn fire. So if there's a situation where his life is in danger, I do feel like maybe y'all need to move him somewhere else. I do not think he needs to be sent home on a furlough, whatever the hell you want. This is not some job that you getting temporarily taken away from you due to COVID. No, this is not what that's not what that is. We're not furloughing you. You need to stay your ass in prison where you belong and do your 30. Do your 30 bands. And at that point, it's just like either move him into a solitary confinement type situation, or you move him somewhere where some people ain't trying to take his life. But other than that, it's like, no, you're not getting out. Just like Diddy ass need to be locked up and thrown under the damn jail on account of the overall vitriol, turmoil, and the demonic stuff that he's been doing and wrecking, havoc on people for as long as he's been in the music industry. So no, I don't see giving you any grace or anybody who does any kind of harm to people, especially if you are underage. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story in regards to this latest stunt that R. Kelly and his people trying to pull? Because look, I'm about to get into a Diddy story too. And with him, it's like they trying to pull stunts and shows to try to get him to not go and do his full, trying to get him out of jail. So y'all keep the stunts coming because it keeps the grist going for my mill. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. You said, I don't think he should get out. Agreed. He said, why don't they just put him in protective custody? Exactly. That's what I was thinking of. It was like, I was thinking like solitary confinement, but I think like if you put somebody in solitary confinement, I think after a while they kind of go crazy because you're confined in this space for 23 hours a day. Maybe you get to go out for an hour, I guess, to go shower or whatever the case is. But I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I'm isolated from people because I feel like I would go nuts. So I don't, but put him in somewhere where you're not going to have him around people that is trying to take his life. He said illegal freaky. Well, I did say illegal freaky. It's like, yeah. It's like you could be a freak. You can do all those things as long as it's legal. But if you out here doing stuff where you assaulting people or even having sexual stuff with kids, knowing full on well that their brains ain't fully developed. A lot of these kids run around thinking they grown as it is. It's like, no, you need to not be out here hunching no children. I'm convincing them into getting in a relationship with you when you're an adult and they're a child. You've had enough mileage in your life where you know how the world works and how to use and manipulate or whatever the case when it comes to people. When it's children, we be fast. We be thinking we know every damn thing. We be thinking we grown. I was there once where I thought I knew every damn thing and realized that, okay, that my parents and a lot of the people that were around me was right because I was like 20, 19, 20. It was like I was always like, yeah, I know everything, and they was like, you don't know shit. And now looking back on it, I was like, you know what, you was right. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was talking about, and you learn that down the road. All right, so we're not only just gonna windmill on black folks. Let's get up in Harvey Weinstein behind. Well, not metaphorically, because I would not want to spend a minute, let alone a millisecond, in that man rotten carotid ass. But anyway, so Harvey Weinstein is, I believe he is already serving a sentence. Sorry, Kundis, you did your little stunt queen antics by interviewing him from prison, all other stuff, trying to see if you can get some type of, I guess, grist going for your mill. But it didn't work because apparently he was found guilty on one charge of committing a criminal sexual act in the first degree by a Manhattan jury, concluding a 3-week trial that revived accusations from a successful 2020 prosecution that was overturned on appeal. So so they said this is a majority female jury. Now, this has got me thinking about the Diddy trial because the Diddy trial has from what I've heard, a predominantly male jury. So if you have predominantly women on here, I would think like, okay, I feel like they'll unanimously kind of side on the point of let's lock this man up, even though he's already locked up, but he just gonna have to do both of the situations because I think he has another case. I can't remember. It might be in this article if I continue to read. But with Diddy, it kind of makes me wonder, will they vote a different way once this trial is done? Because they said that the people on his jury is predominantly male. So that's always something I always find fascinating, the way if predominantly female jurors decide on a case versus men. and how the dynamics of consent and sexual assault and all those other things differ between the genders. So that just had me wondering that just from off that sentence alone. But anyway, let's get back to the article. So it said the jury acquitted him of a second charge of sexually assaulting Kaja Sokola. The jury could not reach a unanimous verdict as to a third count involving Jessica Mann, and was told they will resume deliberations on Thursday morning. The partial verdict comes after a week-long trial that began in April. Why did they say it began a weeks long? Well, I guess that's what it was, weeks long. Trial began in April, during which 3 women testified about the alleged SA committed by the former Hollywood producer. Weinstein faced 2 counts of committing a criminal sexual act in the first degree and 1 count of third degree R-word. Now, earlier on, rhymes with great. Earlier on Wednesday, Weinstein himself addressed the court, urging the judge to call for a mistrial as several jurors continue to complain about tensions in the deliberation room, which I also realize is a stunt or tactic, a little bit of both. Wasn't a Freudian slip, where Diddy's attorneys are trying to pull this mistrial. They tried to pull one twice, and the judge was like, no, we're not doing a mistrial. So that was cute. It was nice, but no, we're not going there with that. So yeah, they said, quote, "This is my life that's on the line." This is what he told Judge Curtis Farber in the courtroom, adding, "I am not getting a fair trial." Now, Weinstein then told the judge, "You are endangering me, Your Honor." Now, prior to that, the jury foreperson in Weinstein's retrial informed the judge that tensions remain amid deliberations. The foreperson then requested to speak privately to the judge and attorneys about the situation. Then in the courtroom, Farber relayed what was said by the foreperson, saying that there is fighting happening among the jury, but that the foreperson is not going to change his position, whatever the position is. The foreperson claimed that one juror said to him, "I'll meet you outside one day." And do what? Because what you thinking? You gonna put some hands on somebody? I guess you want to go to jail. Now they said, after the jury left the courtroom to begin deliberations on Thursday morning last week, Weinstein addressed the court, thanking Judge Curtis J. Farber and the court staff, who he described as just and fair, saying, "I appreciate you all." Now, in his 2020 trial, Weinstein was found guilty of abusing Haley and Mann. He was serving a 23-year sentence in New York until those convictions were overturned in April 2024. Weinstein pleaded not guilty to all charges in his retrial. Both Haley and Mann testified against him again. Now, in their testimonies, Haley alleged that Weinstein forcibly SA'd her at his apartment in 2006, while Mann accused him of R-wording her at a hotel in 2013. And a lot of times what people were saying where a lot of these assaults happen is when they would actually go to his hotel room or places where of residence, where I guess they were going up for a role, auditions. There have been even stories where I forget who the woman was, but she was someone in the industry. I think she worked behind the scenes, and she was gonna go meet up with Harvey Weinstein for having a meeting, this and the other, because something of hers went through. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I know she's someone in the industry, and her friend or someone told her, literally was like, "Don't do it. Don't go over there. Don't visit. Don't go be nowhere around Harvey Weinstein." And she was like, "I'm glad I listened," because years later, them stories came out. So it was an open secret that was going on in Hollywood that people are aware. Oh, I know who it was. It was Jennifer Lopez's producing partner who came out and told that story. So it was, there was a story that came out that I think that there was a project that she was pushing through, whatever the case was. He wanted to have her come back to his hotel or something or another for a meeting, and someone within the industry who was a female told her, "Don't do it. Don't go over there." I don't think it happened, but as in the project or whatever. But she was like, "Mm-mm." It didn't. She didn't go over and get in the situation, because we've heard the stories that how he would assault the women or they would be drugged and things of that nature. So all these people can't be lying. And yeah, it's just funny how, like, when you think about it, yeah, it's an open secret of a lot of these powerful men do a lot of crazy things in Hollywood and get away with it, and everybody looks the other way until they gets to a point where the wall comes crashing down, and that power that you once had, you don't wield it as much anymore, which is why I feel like even with the Diddy case, when people always say, "Well, why did it take 30 years? Why did it take this long? Why did it take that?" Because I'm like, do y'all not realize how powerful he was at the time when all these things was happening? Like, Diddy was one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. I mean, in the music industry. Harvey Weinstein is one of the most powerful producers. Him and his damn brother Bob, who I heard they don't even get along anymore because I think Bob at one point was suing Harvey. So they don't get along no more. Um, Harvey's pretty much an outcast. Harvey wife done moved on to Adrian Brody. She getting her back blown out finally. Because I don't think she was ever getting it when she was with Harvey. That's Georgina Chapman, who you know was a part of Marquesa. I don't think Marquesa's even around anymore. But but yeah, now she's with Adrian Brody, and they made it official when y'all saw them at the Oscars. But I been knew they was hunching. Um, but yeah, with this whole situation, it's just like, yeah, it's always an open secret. And a lot of times when it comes down to that power is starting to deteriorate and you don't have the power that you once had anymore, that's when everybody feels like, okay, now it's time for me to come out. Now, of course, you got to try to weed through the crap and distinguish the opportunists from the people who are actually affected by their abusive behavior, whether it's a Bill Cosby, whether it's a R. Kelly, whether it's a Harvey Weinstein, or whether it's the diddler. So so in addition to all that, to wrap this up, they said that he's serving a separate 16-year sentence following his 2022 rape conviction. I'm like, God damn, this man is old as it is. So he's already serving a 16-year sentence. Plus, on top of that, he's got to serve a 23 years. I'm like, damn, well, you ain't never getting out of prison, sir. Because I'm like, 23 on top of 16, like, you're going to die in jail. If not from natural causes, from probably some health situations. So they were talking about Sokola, who did not testify in Weinstein's 2020 trial, was first identified by the prosecution during opening arguments in late April. She was previously referred to as complaining witness number 3. That is shady. And they said in her testimony, she described 2 alleged assaults by Weinstein, one in 2002 when she was 16 and another in a Manhattan hotel in 2006. So yeah, this man's a mess. They need to bury his ass under the jail, and you ain't getting out of prison, sir. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story and the latest that we have on Harvey Weinstein? They can leave that low down dirty dog where he belongs. I mean, don't get me wrong, he produced a lot of great movies, being a part of, Miramax and Dimension and all that other stuff, but you were just a vile human being. And if y'all really want to know the tea, on a character based on Harvey Weinstein and a lot of the stuff that they were, even movies was kind of pointing the finger at Harvey Weinstein shenanigans. All you got to do is watch Lance Henriksen's performance in Scream 3. That pretty much will tell you the type of man that Harvey Weinstein was, running around Miramax and Dimension Films, which produced Scream, by the way. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Sammy's like, we knew nothing for real. Exactly. He was sad to hear about Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. I know, who's probably really upset about that? John Stamos, because he always kind of performed with them. I knew that from the days when I was growing up watching Full House. He was like a big Beach Boys fan. It was. I remember Madonna telling the story about Harvey making a pass on her, but she turned him down. Also, oh yeah, Courtney Love was notorious for talking about that. And then of course we heard what happened with Rose McGowan and so many others. People try to forget the one. It's too bad they weren't that credible to the public. Ananda Lewis passed away. I did not even know that. Hold on. And I was like, you know what? Hold on. I was like, where is that news? Oh yeah, it literally just came out. Hold on. Yeah, that grape juice just posted that. So hold on. We got breaking news, Chad. And Ananda Lewis was somebody I grew up watching. I was like, damn, do I need to create that banner? It's like, well, we got breaking news. Please hold. All right, y'all. So let's get into that story since we have that one real quick. Well, thank you for that one because now we can get into it. So it is just broken, courtesy of, I saw that Grape Juice posted it. I haven't seen it on any other places. But yeah, apparently, I guess give a shout out to Ananda Lewis where it says that various sources, including WPGC Radio, confirmed that the revered anchor passed away on June 11th after a brave battle with breast cancer. She was 52. So now Lewis, who rose to prominence as an omnipresent host on the cable network during the 90s, through the 2001, revealed her diagnosis in 2020. Now, at the time, she shared that she had been battling the condition for 2 years and cited an avoidance of mammograms for the latter diagnosis. Drawing on her own condition, a former model encouraged the masses to embrace screenings and detection. Beyond her tenure at MTV, she had roles on The Insider and Entertainment Tonight, as well as heading up the Ananda Lewis show. I definitely remember the Ananda Lewis show. And here's the thing, I actually met Ananda Lewis once. You know what? Speaking of, since I got a picture, I'll just pull it up. But anyway, yeah, I was like, I met Ananda Lewis, and this was probably twice. And this was back in the day when I did Want to Be a VJ. So now, for those who are not familiar, Want to Be a VJ, MTV held a contest back in the day where anybody could pretty much show up and audition to be a VJ. I botched my audition twice because apparently Chris didn't know how to read a damn teleprompter. But I can read one now. I got practices then. But back in the day, I botched my freaking audition when I went down there. But it was a lot of fun. This is like I literally got up. I don't even think I went to bed because it was like in my early 20s. So I went down there 2 a.m., stood on the line until we got to go in. I probably didn't get in there until about 8:30, 9 o'clock because the line was crazy. But I got there early enough where I was like, we stood outside all night. This was the days, child. This is way before internet. This is way before cell phones. This is way before all of that stuff. So yeah, I remember I went down, auditioned, saw Carson Daly there. Those like the 2 years was like what Jesse Camp won and then Thalia won, but we haven't heard from them since. Quiet as it's kept. So the Want to Be a VJ thing didn't really work out the way they hoped it would. Except if you really think about it, the only two that really progressed from that were people who I don't even think won the show. Dave Holmes, I don't believe won, but he had a successful career. And Matt Pinfield, who I heard has been sick too. He was another one who did the VJ audition sort of thing. So it's funny how years later, I'll say for me, I'm still in the media space. But yeah, once upon a time, not that long ago, if you count, I guess 20 years, I went down to the MTV studios, 1515 Broadway, the old Viacom. And then funny enough, years later, I would end up working in that building, working for VH1. So it all became a full circle moment. So yeah, sorry to hear about what happened with Ananda, who, if y'all are just now coming into the live, passed away from cancer. And I was like, I didn't even know, I knew she was sick, but I didn't know. I thought like maybe it was a remission. She was doing better. And yeah, this is where it's vitally important. Like for men, I know I'm getting around that age where it's like, oh, I got to get my prostate exam because, it starts around 45. But then again, I'm starting to think like with the way things is going, especially with this current administration and who's running, the health department, I feel like some people are starting to get certain cancers that they tell you that you won't get until you're older, a lot younger. Like I'm thinking like there's people out here who's getting colon cancer before they're 45. So y'all should always get that prostate check. I feel like with women, definitely get your mammograms. Don't miss out on it. Look, we even had Tina Knowles come out recently and say that she had to go get when she skipped I think a year or whatever. I think it had to do with COVID, and she didn't get a mammogram, and they found out that they found a little something something, and her daughter and all of them, her daughters and family members, all this other stuff surrounded her, and took care of her in private and all that. So them nose Carters, they real private with stuff. Like you ain't getting. That's like they got tighter security, the Homeland Security. So it's just like we ain't gonna find out nothing until they tell us. But yeah, so that's the latest on that. Sorry to hear about we lost a good one. And yeah, I got to meet Ananda Lewis once when I was at MTV. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story about this breaking news that Ananda Lewis, who is most known for being a VJ over at MTV, she was of the era of Carson Daly and that whole era, the whole TRL era. She was a part of that whole situation. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I was like, where am I? Oh, wait, I got to scroll on up. It's a lot. You said rest in peace. Oh, yeah, I read that one already. I follow her on Instagram. I liked her on MTV. I liked Ananda too. I said, look at NBC. He said, I remember Weinstein office. They had 10 cars lined up so he could pick the one he liked. That's crazy. Yeah, that was sad. That's sad news to hear. I was like, I remember that guy. Yeah, I remember. I think it was just MTV was being messy back in those days because it was just like, Jesse Camp was like, he was just in a whole planet by himself. So they were just like, oh, the wackiness, the hair, the outfit, like we could definitely make this work for MTV. You know, MTV always felt like they was always in on the joke. Like they always like low key just trying to poke and be shady towards people. So I think that's what they were trying to do with the whole. I felt like they always making a mockery with him when I look back on it. But we were entertained. I wonder whatever happened to him. I remember Kim from America's Next Top Model season 5 did MTV. She probably, I don't even remember who that is. They had so many people from America's Next Top Model. I don't really remember a lot of them, but I guess they'll have to refresh my memory when they finally are finished with that America's Next Top Model documentary that's supposed to be coming out. I'm trying to remember who's doing it. I think it might be Netflix or whatever. And Tyra Banks is contributing. I had a friend who died from prostate cancer, and oh damn! So that's why I said you got to get checked for that early. They be telling you 45, and I'm like, people in their 30s. So like all these virus, all these diseases and things that they always feel like at a certain age you're supposed to be getting. You starting to hear people who are younger and younger are getting them. Oh, that Kim. I remember her. Once you said the lesbian, I was like, okay. So sad, especially since she eventually regret. Yeah, that's why I'm like, everybody tries to get into that holistic stuff. And while that's great, I rather have people who have the technology and everything. I'd rather listen to them before I start using like these creams and holistic things and having somebody, banging a chakra or something and throwing, rubbing my body down with incense, like trying to cover, like we ain't doing all of that. We could do that down the road, but I need like some actual medicine to clear this mess out because cancer ain't no joke. Like I'm sure that we all have a family member or somebody we know that passed away from cancer. See, we also have someone else. Sammy talking about she also had somebody who got prostate cancer at 37, which is crazy that they tell you 40, like 45 and up, but people in their 30s are getting it. I was like, oh, where are we going now? Oh, let's talk about Diddy. Because apparently, his, excuse me, his influencer ex-girlfriend, who went by the pseudonym Jane, and she's been spilling tea and stuff regarding the trafficking trial. So on Tuesday, she went through a cross-examination from Diddy's defense discussing his sexual proclivities. Almost stumbled on that word. Now, he does he describes his proclivities as voyeurism and escapism, but she said she found the term cuck to acknowledge, as a way to describe his proclivities. So Janu said Combs was at his happiness while watching her have sex with male escorts. Same thing he, I guess, felt when he had Cassie doing the same thing. I feel like when we look at this, is it like, okay, so, regular people are into watching adult cinematography on their computers, wherever the case is. So Diddy like his amateur corn, but he wanted it loud, live, and in color. Like he didn't even want it like, oh, I'm watching on the screen. Oh no, I need to act like I am, she. I'm using gay term because I don't know no straight directors. So I've got to be she LaRue. Where I'm literally, I'm in the corner, like I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies directing Jamie Lee Curtis to strip in the hotel room to spice up my marriage. And I want to have a situation where I'm literally directing y'all to move your arm over here or you're get more into the light or move this camera, do it, all that other stuff. So you're trying to like direct a a whole scenario while you off in the corner playing with your Tootsie Roll. Because that's what they said that it was the size of. So we just going by what the reports are saying. Although I'm, all the people saying, although I did hear Armand Wiggins say like that's not something he was hearing them talking about in court. So this probably could be people on social media being messy in the reports. But then again, I would not be surprised that when you see somebody that acts of Diddy's stature, all that mouth and loud and a pain in the ass and always want to throw around his power, that y'all do all that and you can't work the middle. Because what Little Kim said, your thing too little. So to get back into the story, so it was like Jane, who said Combs was at his happiness while watching her have sex with male escorts, testified on Tuesday that she began researching Combs' sexual fetishes so she could understand what was going on in their relationship. Eventually, she came across the words cuck and cuckold and thought to herself, this is spot on. They said, quote, I wanted to know why my partner wanted so many of these nights, she said on a witness stand as she was cross-examined by Combs' attorney, Tenny Garagos. Asked to define the term cuck, she said a cuck derives pleasure seeing his woman derive. Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't even talk. So let me go back and say it again. A cuck derives pleasure seeing a woman derive pleasure from another man. So basically, that's what it is. It's like he gets off on watching, his woman getting off by having sex with someone else. So that turns him on rather than I'm having sex with you. I get off on watching other people having sex with you, which is bizarre because it's like, if we're in a relationship, why are you pawning off your girlfriend like she's, Lola Falana or, the hottest, latest porn star? Like, you literally treating your girl like she a porn star. And you got dudes running through them, male prostitutes running through them because that's just something you get off on. And if they don't want to comply, if they don't want to do what you want to do, then what does that mean? Do you like physically assault them? And I'm not talking about in the R word, although those have been the allegations as well against him. But I'm like, meaning you be like beating them up like you did Cassie, dragging her, punching, kicking, all that other stuff that you was doing. That we see to the video that he denied that was, that he tried to deny didn't even exist until it leaked. So throughout much of the first day of cross-examination, Garagos maintained a friendly tone with Jane, who before testifying had willingly met with the defense team on multiple occasions. Garagos is attempting to understand the government's claim that Jane was sex trafficked by showing that Jane had agency with her relationship with Combs. The attorney showed numerous examples of dirty text exchanges between the two, and at one point reminded Jane that she had said she liked exploring her sexuality with one of the escorts. Garagos also focused on the loving aspect of Jane and Combs' relationship, emphasizing that Jane said she enjoyed taking care of him and that she would rub his feet, those some crusty ass feet, and watch Dateline with him after their freak. First of all, who's watching Dateline? Dateline be having all that homicidal stuff up on there. I'm like, was he trying to get some ideas? So he said, this was your partner, your lover. This is what Garagos said, adding that Jane wanted to please him and make him happy. Hence why when she says that I want to please you and make you happy, that means that she was willing to do whatever so that way she wouldn't anger him or piss him off. So does that mean that she was consenting to it all? Or was it that she consented to it out of fear that if she didn't comply, he would leave her? She didn't get to enjoy the fruits of and the pleasures, of what being in a relationship with Diddy entails. So we could look at it from that other standpoint too. That it was just like you getting to be in the presence of Diddy and all that comes with that. Are you pleasing him because you like the lifestyle? Which is kind of like what they were pointing at when it came to Cassie. But just because you here for the lifestyle and this, that, and the other, I mean, you could still have love for the person and wanting to please the person. But if there's a way that's like, oh, well, you're forcing these things on people and there's a fear that, oh, if they don't comply, then it all is going to be over, meaning that you don't get to, as I said, enjoy the fruits, then I don't know. It's just like, it just comes across as like a complex situation that I feel like the attorney, Diddy's attorneys are trying to make like this black or white type situation. So they said Jane had spoken highly of a specific escort named Paul, saying they had chemistry and that he had a warm energy. Sometimes Jane, Paul, and Combs refer to themselves as the trifecta, each taking on the respective nicknames Kobe Bryant, Shaq, and Michael Jordan. No, y'all not out here referring to yourselves as basketball players. They said Shaq and Michael Jordan. Now, during her direct examination over the last few days, Jane testified that she told Combs repeatedly throughout their relationship that she did not want to have sex with other men, but that he brushed off those concerns. In a text from September 2023, Jane wrote to Combs that she felt obligated to perform for him or fear of losing the roof. They did not just say all that. This is literally, I'm reading this as and just formulating my own stuff because sometimes if I just go off and read the whole thing, I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. And I said that that's what that was. And this is what she said her fear was that she felt obligated to perform for him because if she didn't, she would be homeless. And come to find out, Diddy was paying her rent. She lived out in LA. So yeah, it's sort of like, oh, he's taking care of me. He's paying my bills. He's paying my rent. And you know how expensive rent is. I lived in LA. Rent is not cheap out there, just like it ain't in New York. So if you're living in a metropolitan type of area and you got somebody like Diddy paying your rent, it's all okay. I'm gonna just do what I need to do if he's taking care of me in so many other ways. Even though when I didn't want to be doing certain things, I went along with it because it was like if I said no, which she's according to her, she said that he refused to listen to her when she was like, I don't want to perform, which is similar to what Cassie was saying when she was in a relationship with him too, is that she would be homeless. And you know these people like Diddy, they love having that power and control. Even when at one point Cassie was like, oh no, I want to pay for my own stuff at times. She had her own apartment that I believe she was paying for. And then they went on to say, quote, I don't want to be used and locked in a room to perform and fulfill your fantasies. I'm coming to the realization of what this really is. This is what she wrote Combs in a text on September 2023. She testified that 90% of her time spent with Combs involved having sex with other men. My heart is really in this and it's breaking. I don't want to play this role in your life anymore. She said, I'm not a porn star. I'm not an animal. It's been 3 years of me having to fuck strangers and I'm tired. And to me, it's just like, damn, Diddy doesn't understand how to have like a real, genuine relationship with someone outside of everything has to be sexually transactional. That, oh, well, you're basically, you know, Jenna Jameson, the black Jenna Jameson to me. Well, I don't know. Well, quiet as it's kept, Diddy don't really be dating no black girls. I mean, unless she was Kim Porter. But other than that, all his women have been racially ambiguous that we've seen. So I don't know what this girl looked like. So I'm not even going to say she black. Because like I said, a lot of men, especially of Diddy's stature, especially if you black and rich, a lot of them like to go for them racially ambiguous women. Not saying that I have a problem with it because I am racially ambiguous myself. However, we know the type. And if and I would feel the same way too. It's like, yeah, I'm feeling like that this is someone who genuinely cares about me and loves me. But it's like Diddy, I don't even think understands, even though he tried to call himself love, I feel like, sir, maybe the reason why you called yourself love because you were trying to figure out what the hell love is and what it means to you. Because I don't really think you know what love truly is. I mean, have you ever really received that from Janice? And Janice, by Janice, I mean his mother. Because the way he been rolling around and all this other stuff, it's just like you don't really understand how to truly connect with another human without the fetishization of people that you get in relationships with. And then, so this is where I want to come in with the whole situation of like when I saw the headline and it was talking about he had a bi curiosity. I want to know what they meant by that because if Diddy had a sense of bi curiosity, I'm like, didn't we kind of know that? Because I mean, allegedly, well, they did say that when Cassie was having sex with the men and the men had to skeet on her hot pocket on the I think on the outside, like not in it, whatever the case was, but he wanted basically her to come into the room and excrete the cream filling on him, on her nipples, and he wanted to play with it. So he liked playing with the ejaculate from the men that was hunching Cassie. And was that the part that the bi curiosity came in? Because you got off on that. So I don't know if he ever partook in having sex with men, but there have always been people around here that said that there was kind of weird behaviors about Diddy regarding, the possibility that he might be, how you doing? In the words of Wendy Williams. And we've heard Wendy Williams notorious for telling the stories of Diddy being a part of the whole how you doing brigade, to the point where when she was spilling all that tea, he was the one that got her fired from Hot 97 because, as I stated many a times before, the amount of power he had in the industry, the music industry, radio, MTV. The minute he could say that I'm not allowing my music somewhere, these people will freak out and they'd be like, okay, well, you got to go. The talent got to go. So, because we want to get those videos, we want to get those, we want to be able to get the exclusive and break, even though we know this person is a POS, a horrible human being. We need to have access to those songs. We need to get those songs in rotation, because Diddy was running New York. Whether you want to agree with it or not, yes, Mr. Shiny Suit Man had a lot of power in New York back in the 90s and the 2000s. I don't know if we can go as far as 2010, maybe a little bit in the 2010, but for the most part, the 90s and the 2000s, Diddy had it on lock. So I could totally see why he did what he did to Wendy Williams when she was at Hot 97 and she had to go run her behind 2 hours away to Philly. So yeah, that's all I got on that so far. But yeah, I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of this story in regards of the diddler and his girlfriend at the time saying that calling him a cuckold, like that's the type of fetish that he's into, and his alleged bi curiosity. So whatever your thoughts are on this story, let me know in the comments down below. Wait, what are we talking about? That was delivered with features. He said, "Oh, please, he wasn't ashamed. We all know he was clapping cheek. He should have gotten into porn above age and signing consent for." Yeah, I mean, look, didn't at one point Kanye say that he was trying to start an adult website or something or another? We all thought he was going to have Bianca be the head girl of the situation, the way he be running his wife around town, being half naked and stuff, but or practically naked or fully naked, which however way well you get away with it. But I'm like, yeah, if that was something you want to get into, if you want to get into adult cinematography, then that's something you should have gotten into. I mean, these days people are getting into that sort of thing. I don't know if people judge it as hard as they did back in the day. Because I can imagine him being a flip. Yeah, I was like, I believe that what she basically said, Wendy, I was here for all of it, fired from Shot 97. She didn't hold back. I love yeah. One of the things I definitely love when Wendy was at Hot 97, that was the only time I really paid. Well, it was her and Angie Martinez. Those are the only ones and Funkmaster Flex. Those are the only times I was really like paying attention to. Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say I wasn't really into it, but here I'm naming all these people. And then remember at one point they had Star and Buck Wild. They was the best parts of Hot 97. But Star and Buck Wild was messy. I think they were messier than Wendy. And to the point where I think they got fired. Happy Pride. All right, now speaking of bi curiosity and closeted homosexual tendencies, let's get into this story now. I don't really be following the Christians, except when I want to call them out on their damn hypocrisy. And that's why we're about to tell this story, because there's somebody by the name of Michael Tait, who I'm not familiar with. Apparently, he was out here doing some type of tomfoolery, messing around with men inappropriately, and he was high on the booger sugar. So in January, apparently, a single Michael Tait left the Christian rock band Newsboys after 15 years. Then just last week, allegations of grooming, SA, and substance abuse emerged in a lengthy article on the Roy's report. It said following a 2.5-year investigation. And shout out to Variety for this story. So Michael Tait, who became a Grammy-winning star in the Christian music world as a member of DC Talk, in the 90s, and continued that hit streak in recent years with a long stint as lead singer for the group Newsboys, has issued a confession on social media in which he admits that allegations of a wanted groping of young men and drug use contained in a recent investigative report were largely true, saying, quote, recent reports of my reckless and destructive behavior, including drug and alcohol abuse and sexual activity, are sadly largely true. This is what he wrote in a post on his Instagram account. For some 2 decades, I used and abused booger sugar. Y'all know what that is. Riding the white horse. Consumed far too much alcohol and at times touched men in an unwanted, sensual way. I'm ashamed of my life choices and actions and make no excuses for them. I will simply call it what God calls it, sin. No, child. What we're not going to do is call it what that is. The way you went about it is some damn sin. But I'm sorry, same sex anything, but long before religion decided to indoctrinate our world and try to keep people enslaved mentally, there was a little thing called homosexuality. It's always existed. We've had it in animals, mammals particularly, and it existed long before Christianity. So when you look back at the old days of the Greeks and the Romans and things of that nature, homosexual activities were practiced long before Christianity reared its head. So for y'all to be out here calling stuff sin, it's like, no, sir, you hate yourself so damn much on the inside that you had to go about trying to suppress your feelings for someone of the same sex by using drugs to self-medicate, and then you touch men inappropriately because you're not comfortable being who you really are, which is either, I don't know if you're a bisexual or a homosexual, but that's up between you and your God to figure out, since we want to bring God into the conversation. He said, I'm ashamed to admit that for years I've lied and deceived my family, friends, fans, and even misled my bandmates about aspects of my life. I was, for the most part, living 2 distinctly different lives. I was not the same person on stage Sunday night that I was at home on Monday. I was violating everything I was raised to believe by my God-fearing dad and mom about walking with Jesus. Well, Kanye also told us that Jesus walked, and was grieving the very God I love and sang about for most of my life. He abruptly quit Newsboys in January, setting off a round of speculation about what went down and escalated over the past 5 months. His former bandmates have tried to soldier on with the replacement singer for a new album and tour, while some fans balked at the prospect of concert dates preempted or preceding. They misspelled. What is that word? I don't know what they meant to put in here. The prospect of I think they meant to say preceding, because they misspelled it. So we're just going to go with that. So they said that while some fans bolded the prospect of concert dates proceeding without Tait, asking questions about the abrupt departure of a singer who'd been the face of the veteran group for the last 16 years. And yeah, no shade, but if you was a Christian group or a regular group, a lot of times when y'all try to swap out your lead singer that's been a part of the group for a long time and you just immediately try to bring in somebody new, it doesn't really work. Like, you got to take time away and give people a chance. Because no, I won't say it won't ever work, because there's been times when you look at certain bands and they bring in new singers. It tends to, for the most part, they'll accept it. But I guess it's different when it's the Christians. So they said the mystery came into clearer focus on June 4th when a Christian site that publishes investigative stories, the Roy's Report, published a lengthy article about what it called Nashville's worst kept secret, saying that a 2.5-year investigation involving interviews with more than 50 sources showed a pattern of predatory grooming as well as drug abuse on Tait's part. Hold on, let me pull up the Instagram so y'all can see that. Because, child, this is a mess. They made sure to and then the funny thing, when he did his little lengthy report, he made sure to disable the comments, because he ain't want y'all coming up in there windmilling on him. The people that call y'all out on, you Christians, out on y'all hypocrisy, and then also the Christians that are, the want to get in on you about you being a sin, gay being a sin and all that other stuff. So they said because I was like, where was I left in? Okay, so it says the day after the Royce Report story exploded through the Christian music world, Newsboys issued a statement on the band's Instagram, writing, "When he left the band in January, Michael confessed to us that our management that he had been living a double life, but we never imagined that it would be this bad." The remaining group members said that he had not heard from Tait about the exact allegations, but wrote that our hearts were shattered when we read the news alleging drug abuse and inappropriate sexual actions. First and foremost, our hearts are with the victims who have bravely shared their stories. If you are a victim, we urge you to come forward. We absolutely do not condone, any form of sexual assault. And I think that is something, I don't know if because, I get pissed off when y'all start trying to use certain buzzwords when it comes to homosexuality and religion and all of that. Like you were saying it, like when I went a little too in that, and I still stand on what I said. But the one thing I feel like maybe what I should have gone in a little more on is that you're trying to hide behind these tendencies that you have, but you abuse people. And what you're not going to do is the same stuff that Kevin Spacey did when we all knew he was a faggot. And then he wanted to come out and say, when he got busted and all these allegations, all of a sudden now he want to come out as a homosexual. It's like, girl, we been knew you was a queen. But now all of a sudden, because you got caught with your hand in the damn cookie jar, you want to go, no, you can take that little pride flag and shove it up your ass. Because this is not going to be the time when you're going to try to, ride the pride wave at the benefit of your discretions. Because you're not going to do that. You come out at another time. But you just talk about that you was a mess. You was doing things because you was ashamed, the self-hatred, all the other stuff that plays into a lot of times when you get these abusers out here doing the things that they doing. You're not going to hide behind being a homosexual when you're an abuser. Because that's always been a stereotype when it comes to us, that gays are nothing but a bunch of damn pedophiles and child molesters and abusers. It's like, no, we don't. I don't even like kids enough to be wanting to touch them inappropriately. Quiet as a scat. Even though I did raise my godchild, that's different. But it's like, I don't even like kids enough to be wanting to touch them inappropriately. So we're not even going to do that. So to continue on what they were saying, they said, if you are a victim, we urge you to come forward. We absolutely do not condone any form of sexual assault. Now, Tim Agee, a band member who stepped into the lead singer role, wrote separately on Facebook that the group members heard rumors over the years, but that each time something came up, we tried to find the source and no one would tell us. So how were they able to keep that under wraps? Because he said that I was living a double life, but clearly you wasn't doing a good enough job, because members of your band and other people were saying they had heard things, but when we were trying to find out what was the tea, nothing was coming up. Like nobody would tell us what was going on. So I don't know, were people being paid off? Like, how was all this not coming? And then what caused them, all of a sudden to do a 2-year investigation into Michael Tait? So in his Instagram statement, Tait said that he had entered treatment following his exit from Newsboys and is now clean and sober. Saying, when I abruptly left Newsboys in January, I did so to get help. I was not healthy physically or spiritually and was tired of leading a double life. I spent 6 weeks at a treatment center in Utah, was a conversion therapy, receiving help that may have saved my life for ultimate destruction. Because, whenever I hear Utah and treatment centers, you already know what I be thinking. It's like, was it conversion? Because they got what they got. Don't they have mostly Mormons out there in Utah? And it's very like religion heavy. Says, I've been clean and sober since, though I still have a lot of hard work ahead of me. Now, the initial Royce report said that the 3 men who had spoken with the reporter alleged that Tait befriended them individually on Christian music tours in 2004, 2010, and 2014. They were all 22 years old at the time. 2 men stated that they were drinking alcohol with Tait and later woke to him fondling their genitals. One alleged Tait also offered him booger sugar while on the Newsboys tour bus. The third told TRR that Tait gave him a back massage while skinny dipping and later invited him to share his king-size bed. There, Tait allegedly non-consensually massaged his anal region. Now, on Monday, K Love, the nation's biggest Christian radio chain with 400 stations in 48 states announced that it was putting a pause on airplay for all releases from Newsboys, including apparently records the band put out before and after Tait's tenure and DC Talk. They said, "We are aware of the allegations against Michael Tait, former frontman of the Newsboys." K-Love rep was quoted, told the Royce Report. "As the investigation proceeds, our prayers are with all those involved. Now, in the meantime, our programming team is resting Newsboys and DC Talk Music on our stream. A handful of other Christian stations have preceded K-Love in pulling music by the two groups." Now, Newsboy recently publicly traded blame with a promoter about the cancellation of a Canadian tour, with the group claiming the promoter was in over his head, and the company that canceled the outing indicated in return that ticket sales were suffering after Tait's sudden exit. A U.S. tour was still in the books for summer as of Tuesday, as fans online offering mixed responses about whether they were eager to see the group continue with another member of the band taking over lead vocals or not. Well, yeah, it's like you feel like you're not getting your money's worth. So why would I want to take the time to sit and watch an artist who is not a part of the group? But you bring somebody new in, it's not going to be the same. You know, sexual discretions aside. Now, DC Talk was one of the most popular acts in the history of CCM, which is contemporary Christian music, for those who are not familiar. As a genre, it's often called. The hip-hop inflected pop group's most popular album, 1995's Jesus Freak. Not y'all using Jesus Freak. And y'all supposed to be, all religious and all this stuff, and y'all putting Jesus Freak as a song? Okay. They were certified triple platinum and spent 79 weeks on the Billboard 200. Now, the trio officially went on hiatus in 2001 with Tait, Kevin Max, and Toby Mac, all moving on to successful careers apart from one another. Now, Newsboys had a record of decades of success before Tait joined. With Peter Furler as their original lead singer, they formed in Australia in the mid 80s and moved to Nashville in the early 90s. Furler left the group and was replaced by Tait in 2009. Now, with their new singer bringing over much of the DC Talk fan base, Newsboys managed to have 4 number 1 albums on the Christian charts during his tenure. The group was featured in the evangelistic theatrical drama God's Not. Oh my God, I remember that freaking movie, because back when I worked at AMC, that was like a movie that was God's Not Dead. That movie was just like a big thing when that came out. Now, Tait had aligned himself with conservative politicians or activists over the years. In 2019, he was one of the many prominent evangelical figures signing a letter condemning Christianity Today magazine for supporting President Trump's impeachment. Later, he stood on stage next to Trump at a rally urging evangelical support. The singer posted a video last year urging his fans to vote for Trump. See, and look what we got now. And y'all they be the main ones, hypocrites, talking about us being the worst of the worst. But they the main ones that truly believe, like, when you look at Donald Trump, like, he is the second coming. Yeah, he's the second coming, all right. He's basically Damian Thorne with 45-inch waistline. That's basically what he's given. He is definitely the devil incarnate. So if y'all want to sit up here and try to act like he's the second coming and he's a true Christian when we all know he's not, and Donald Trump is out here selling Bibles when I could have sworn they was all free, then what do you expect? So these be the main ones. So I just decided to talk about this because, I can't stand a hypocrite. And that's basically what this was given. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this mess of a story? And this man up in here trying to basically, backpedal and pussy pop off the fact that, yeah, you was out here doing shenanigans and stunts and shows, being nasty and messy because you couldn't come to terms with who you are as a man. He ain't identified. He basically said that he went and got help for the alcohol and stuff, but did you get help for the whatever of the other issues you're dealing with? Because if you out here snorting booger sugar and you out here drinking alcohol, that is usually the self-medicating that you were doing. That is to cover up something else that you are not willing to deal with. And that is the fact that you have same-sex tendencies and attractions. And because you are in the whole Christian sect, and we know what evangelical Christians, how they feel about homosexuality, which is basically natural. I know they don't want to hear it, but I don't give a good goddamn. I'm coming in here with like real life shit. So I ain't got time to be coming up in here with y'all brainwashing with the religion. So you're not willing to come to terms with who you are as a man. So you got to go up in there. You got to do drugs. You got to numb the pain. And then you over here taking advantage of younger men and putting them through situations because you got them urges that you can't deal with on your own. So you got to go and sexually assault people. And yes, when you up in there fondling somebody's genitals, it don't necessarily have to be penetration for it to be assault. You touching somebody inappropriately, that's assault. When you somebody are playing with somebody's anus, that's assault. When you sitting there fondling a man's genitals, that is assault. So you need to deal with that too. You need to deal with what is the root of the issue that you have, that why you doing the things that you're doing with these men, and not try to blame it, as Jamie Foxx would say, on the alcohol. And then I'll add in, for measure, the booger sugar. So I would love to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know what your overall thoughts on this mess of the story in the comments down below. Sailor Mermaid's in the building. You said often in college, better alpha, beta, come louder. Shut up. It said Sailor Mermaid. It says how many people hide behind exactly a Christian musician that does this kind of stuff behind the scenes. And I'm sure there's a lot more where that came from. It said I heard Caitlyn Jenner went to Tel Aviv and gave some kind of speech for their. Why'd they leave her ass there? Her in them damn man hands. Fucking Zionist. You said she is the opposite of what pride stands for. Okay. Say, yep, Mormons, very hard to live with. No hate, just very clannish and. Mm-mm. I would thought you was gonna say clannish with a K, but you saying clannish as in like they kind of like very cliquish and all that stuff. Not Hey Lance Bass. Yes, he does need psychological help. And so it's like when you hurting yourself and you're not happy with who you are, you want to go and do all that stuff. So I hope he got help for way more than the alcohol and all that other stuff. You dealing with a lot of whatever issues, those deep rooted issues that you dealing with, which is them same sex tendencies and why you have a hard time coming to terms with that side of yourself because of what he said, what he was taught, and being caught up in that whole religious bubble. Because I don't know if he comes from, I don't know about his personal life, where it's like, are you like a PK? And like, is that something that you always had indoctrinated in you, where it's just like, you were taught God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve? Y'all know that whole situation. So that's what I kind of wonder. I had a Mormon family living by me in Colorado. I know that had to be interesting. Who was a group of people that for like 1 week they actually get to come and live amongst the regular people? Is that the Amish? I don't know. Sometimes I be thinking the Amish and the Mormons are kind of like one and the same. I do be saying like in New York, you do be seeing a lot of those Latter-day Saint types. They be out here trying to convert people. And it kind of reminds me of Scientology. I told you they tried to get me for Scientology back when I was living in LA. One of the daughters was murdered while she was working at Mm-mm. My Girls Aloud show Blu-ray. Shipped will be here in 15 days. Word is they quietly broke up to give Cheryl time to help her son heal. Well, yeah, she's going to have to. Oh, speaking of which, sidebar. Did y'all see Building the Band? Since we talking about Cole. Cheryl Hole was the drag queen. Building the Band, which is the show with AJ McLean is hosting, Kelly Rowland, Nicole Scherzinger, and Liam Payne. They were the judges on the show, and it's kind of like a cross between um oh my god, what was that? What is that? That Love Is Blind? It's like a cross between Love Is Blind meets The Voice. So it's like they got these singers, whatever, in like these cubes, and then if somebody steps up and they sing, and it's like a blind audition. So it's like you can't even see what the people look like. So you hear them, but they want you to pick your singing partners or whatever the case is based off of how they sound versus off of how they look. Because yeah, now in Hollywood, it's always about how you look and all this other stuff. But they pick people based off of their voice. It's like, oh, I want them in my group. So they show that clip. The YouTube has it. It's from Netflix, and it's supposed to come out next month. But I'm like, okay, this show actually looks interesting. So I definitely want to watch it. And now, if the show does really well, and they said they're going to release them in chunks of like every week. So I think it's like 9 episodes, 3 weeks, 3 episodes a week or something or another. So I'm definitely going to watch the show. But I wonder if the show is successful for Netflix, and y'all decide to keep it going, who y'all gonna have to replace Liam Payne? I feel like what maybe they need to do is have AJ McLean swap, come in and be the judge, and then they pick a new host that is the singer. Maybe Joey Fatone could come in and be, the host, or Lance Bass. Y'all can have him be the host. I would rather Lance Bass be the host. He's hosted before. Well, let me host shit. And you said they better not come near me, but they long skirt. I saw AJ with oh, did he? I like AJ McLean. He's like a really good interviewer. He actually came to my job when I was at the Garden and was like, when they played I Want It That Way and they showed him on the screen, that I'm gonna not walk the whole stroll. And I find that interesting. It's like, yeah, this temptation. Do you want to come back and start milking cows? Or do you want to go and live amongst the regular folk that got electricity and working phones and things? I always wonder what that life would be like. But I'm like, if I lived back in the day before there was electricity and stuff, then I would want to go, and I guess that would be what it would be like. Sexual suppression leads to drug alcoholism. Exactly. And that's exactly what that is. I think the root of it all is he's sexually repressed. I mean, I don't even know when he said family and friends. I'm like, was he married? Does he have children? It's like, but anyway, let's move on, y'all. And speaking of people who are not sexually repressed, let's talk about Kim Kardashian. Because apparently, Miss Mamas is out here condemning race, as in immigration and customs enforcement, which is quite interesting because I'm like, people I can think was side-eyeing Kim because they felt like Kim was out here voting for Trump, that she was cucking for Trump, that she was going hard for Trump. Even though she never came out and said it, but they felt like a lot of her actions was rooted into like, oh, she's a lot of herself with Trump. And we already know she's good friends with Ivanka. But this whole situation that's going on right now, especially in California, and Gavin Newsom been pissing me off with a lot of things that he's been doing as of late, especially like when he has his podcast and he's bringing on these freaking conservative nuts on his show, trying to be like, well, we need to kind of play in with them and get to understand where they come from. I was like, no, at this point, it's like, no, I'm not interested in hobnobbing with racists, whatever the case is, or a bunch of damn conspiracy theorists. It is what it is. But, and with that being said, Gavin Newsom kind of been rubbing me the wrong way, and kind of like the decisions he's been making by hobnobbing and brown nosing with a lot of the more conservative people, because I guess he feels like that's going to help him kind of get in the good graces of if he decides to run for president in 2028. But most recently, now that Trump acting the fool that he is right now and got all these military people, like he's very active, very authoritative, especially towards the people of California. So now it's like, I like him for that. I still am side-eyeing you in a lot of situations, but nevertheless, okay, Gavin Newsom, you do get your big one. I'll give you your tens for that one. So yeah, so now Kim is speaking out because I thought like she was going to remain mum like a lot of these big celebrities that live out in LA. But she said, when we were told that ICE exists to keep our country safe and remove violent criminals, great. This is what she wrote on her IG stories on Tuesday. But when we witness innocent, hardworking people being ripped from their families in inhumane ways, we have to speak up. We have to do what's right. Now, Kardashian, who grew up in the City of Angels, said that she has seen how deeply immigrants are woven into the fabric of this city. Hold on. Kim is what, 42? Says, are you that obtuse that you didn't realize that immigrants were deeply woven into the fabric of California? It's like, ma'am, would you living in the mansions and the other stuff? And I don't give a good goddamn if people feel like this is racist or whatever, but who is doing the jobs that, maid service, working on your garden, mowing your lawns, squeezing the titties of cows so that way y'all get milk in the stores? Like, who's working the farms? Who's doing all these jobs? It ain't black folks, it ain't white folks, and damn sure ain't her Armenian ass. So how is it that you not aware until now how deeply woven immigrants are into this country? I guess when you ain't got your head so far up your ass, and that's a big ass, then you don't really need to see these things or notice these things. It just doesn't, it's funny how like when rich people always try to act like they so damn revolutionary, and then y'all wind up finding a way to stick your foot in your ass. And as I said, that's a big ass. So, wait, hold on. Let me read the whole thing. What was I? Okay, so I was like, growing up in LA, I've seen how deeply immigrants are woven into the fabric of this city. They are neighbors, friends, classmates, coworkers, and family. No matter where you fall politically, it's clear that our communities thrive because of the contributions of immigrants. We can't turn a blind eye when fear and injustice keep people from living their lives freely and safely. There has to be a better way. Because it's like, yeah, we have, there's a lot of people who keep running around thinking that illegal immigrants are getting Medicaid or something. So first of all, they could buy into the system. They cannot get medical insurance if you are not a documented immigrant. Also, what people need to realize is that when you have people who are on DACA and things of that nature, when they're still trying to get their papers and stuff up and going and things, and yeah, they're in this country, whether it's an expired visa or whatever the situation is, it's a long, drawn out process, especially when it's any kind of social work. You already know a lot of these people are overworked and understaffed. So when you're trying to get a lot of this paperwork stuff up and going, it takes a long time for this stuff to be processed. So it's like now you have people who are afraid of going outside of their homes to go to the gym, to go to work, to go wherever they need to go, even if they want to go down to the Starbucks to get a goddamn, coffee or, a refresher. They got to worry about some damn ICE agents snatching them up when got their faces covered, no kind of warrant, no kind of nothing. You just swooping people up, throwing them up in vans like you chested a molester and carting them off to God knows where without due process. And this is something that is just crazy and out of control. And the fact of the matter is, well, we have Democrats who ain't saying nothing and are not doing nothing and pushing back because their motto is, let's see how bad, let them do so bad that when the midterms comes around, oh, they'll just automatically vote for us. Oh, is that so? Because what we'll do is, I mean, I don't know if, people like Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, I don't know how long that they're in office, whatever, but we need to start voting these people that sit on their hands out, the ones that are blue, that are voting alongside to allow ICE to do what they're doing. Because there was something, and damn, I wish I had the story, where there was some ICE agents, well, not ICE, and there were some Democratic politicians who voted, who was all voting for this stuff that's happening with ICE. So if y'all sitting out here thinking that it's all Donald Trump with his stuff, oh no, during the Biden administration, the Democrats, they've been in doing their little dirt with ICE too. It's just when you have an administration that would rather use a wrecking ball instead of a scalpel, which is what the Democrats like to do. They like to use a scalpel. They like to cut a little bit of the meat off the bone where you don't notice that some of the stuff has been taken off, but they be on their dirt too. Like I always tell y'all, when you cut off the head of the snake, it's still the same snake on whichever side it's on. So Democrats, birds of a feather, two sides of the same damn coin. I always feel like that, and I've been saying that, and I've been learning that a lot lately. That's why I told y'all I'm changing my shit to independent. And hopefully we could be more the first progressive state where we could vote somebody in that ain't Andrew Cuomo. Because if y'all think that that man was actually here for New Yorkers during his tenure as governor, but y'all need to actually Google Schmoogle and refresh your memory. Because that man is an old people killer. Remember during the COVID administration, he had people that were infected with COVID put back in the nursing homes. So people was getting sick, and those who weren't affected by COVID was getting COVID. So you sticking COVID patients, positive COVID patients, in nursing homes where they're sick. This man has a lot of blood on his damn hands. So when he tries to pull these little stunts because he's scared because Zoran Mamdani is up on that old wrinkly ass and may shift the way politics is done in New York. This is why I said we got to be the progressive ones. We have to be the change. Because while they done fucked up during this administration with the way this country is going, we can't let that happen in New York. Especially with everybody already bitching about the fact that the rent is too damn high here. That you can't even get a $1,200, a $1,400, or even a $2,000 one-bedroom apartment. Like, rent is ridiculous. It's funny, even Mim, shout out to him, because I know he's doing the Diddy situation. And he was like, I could not believe, like, because, he's been going through it. We're trying to get an apartment and all this other stuff, or Airbnb, and all those situations in New York while he's covering the Diddy trial. And he was saying, like, y'all rent in New York is crazy. I'm like, yeah, we've been told y'all that. It's like, yes, the rent is crazy in New York. Like everything is closing down. Nightclubs is closing down because the rent's too crazy. We have a lot of stores is closing down. Like it's starting to look like a ghost town out here. Even though, and that's why I had to laugh because there was a recent story that was done where they said, where was it? Because I got to go back to my thing. That New York is the happiest city. And I was like, who the hell did y'all poll? Yeah, they said New York City ranked, named happiest city in the U.S., ranks number 17 on global happy city index. So yeah, they said the Big Apple's the happiest city. Well, damn, if you actually took the train and you actually walked down the street and dealt with some people, some real New Yorkers, we all look like we got rested bitch face. We all look like we ready to fight. So I don't know who you talking about. Is it that maybe we had people that lived in other cities and towns and states that done moved to New York because of gentrification and all that other stuff? Maybe they're the ones that you asked that are happy. But if you ask a real New Yorker, they probably tell you to get the fuck out of their face. But yeah, so this whole thing with Kim, girl, I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but when it has to do with the Trump administration, and you talk about how they raiding workplaces, prompting people to express their first. It's like, yeah, we have to protest. They want to come out here and they're spreading these fake narratives of people throwing things and the protest not being peaceful and people believing all this mess because we already know what y'all doing with legacy media. Y'all just fired somebody from ABC for criticizing someone within, what was it, Stephen Miller from the Trump administration. And y'all firing him. Like, really? This is what y'all doing? Like, y'all don't have the back of y'all reporters. They're here to report the news. They're here to go. But I guess y'all want to get in the whole fascist regime because money talks at the end of the day. All y'all worrying about is appeasing the shareholders. And I'm sure those shareholders all voted for him because that's, the stock market, Wall Street, all that stuff. They're all hand in hand with each other. So yeah, now they said California Governor Newsom filed an emergency request in federal court on Tuesday to block the Trump administration from deploying the National Guard and Marines. And we saw the pictures on Gavin Newsom. Hold on, because now I got to go to Gavin Newsom thing. I don't know if y'all saw this too, but Gavin Newsom went and posted a picture of the military. Yeah, he went and posted a picture of like the military and how these army guys or whatever was sitting there laying all about on the floor. Oh, he also owned Mike Johnson. He said, that's not my lane. I'm not going to give you legal analysis on whether Gavin Newsom should be arrested, but he ought to be tarred and feathered. And then Gavin said, good to know we're skipping the arrest and going straight to the 1700 style forms of punishment, a fitting threat given the Republicans want to bring our country back to the 18th century. And yeah, these are people like, when you look at Gavin Newsom, not Gavin Newsom, when you look at people like Mike Johnson, who are just like this smug, forward fuck, I can't stand him. Like, he's got one of those faces similar to Bill Maher. You just want to knock their teeth into the back of their throat. So it's like him and a lot of these people that's in here, the Laura Loomers and all these other morons that are doing this for attention. For some reason, I could not find the picture, but it was literally like the picture of a lot of the military. So these people that he deployed, they have no place to house them. They have no place to sleep, to drink, water, no food, none of that stuff. So it's cute or whatever, Kim, that you could get on the line and, say all this other stuff like you actually do. Oh, okay, I found it. I was like, I did all that damn stalling. Finally found it. So let me pull that up for y'all so y'all can see these pictures. Because I don't even know if y'all actually seen it. But yeah, so there's one where they basically showing the military. And, they just laying on the damn floor. So you have nowhere to put them because and got them like this is crazy. And this is not AI, it's not all that other stuff. Because I don't think that an actual governor of California will post any fake photo AI. That's what this administration likes to do. They like stunts and shows and performances and all that other stuff because they have a certain narrative they want to put. And I feel like this was another one. This was something where he wanted to flex his authoritative muscle. He wanted to show people that it's like, look, oh yeah, I'm a big man, I'm strong, I'm Mr. Military, I'm Putin, and that's the kind of the image that Trump, wide back, McDonald's eating, unhealthy ass, three sandwiches away from a heart attack, having ass, wants to do. He wants to, it's all about perception. It's all about, y'all getting, being kept in fear and afraid and all other stuff. So yeah, now you got these people laying around on the floor. And it's like, if you want me to come out here and do the thing that needs to be done, which quiet as it's kept, this is some illegal stuff anyway, which you're using the National Guard against people, which he actually said, I believe, when he debated Kamala Harris, that that's not something he's able to do. But these people are just doing whatever the hell they want because they didn't put no guardrails on him. So this is what authoritarianism is. But before we close, so in closing, I do want to play y'all this clip that we have from the one and only Doshi, who won over at the BET Awards. So if you did not see this video of her, what she had to say about the president, and I love the fact that she said it with her whole chest, power to the people, threw that fist up in the air, on God with Black Power, and said his name. Because we ain't going to sit over here and call him you know who, or as Whoopi Goldberg now calls him Taco D. So we're just going to call him what he is. So let me play this clip for y'all, and then we'll close out on this story. Please hold.
I want to address what's happening right now outside of the building. There are ruthless attacks that are creating fear and chaos in our communities in the name of law and order. Trump is using military forces to stop a protest. And I want y'all to consider what kind of government it appears to be when every time we exercise our democratic right to protest, the military is deployed against us. What type of government is that? People are being swept up and torn from their families, and I feel it's my responsibility as an artist to use this moment to speak up for all oppressed people, for Black people, for Latino people, for trans people, for the people in Gaza. We all deserve to live in hope and not in fear. And I hope we stand together, my brothers and my sisters, against hate, and we protest against it. Thank you, BT. I do want to address what's happening right now outside of the...
All right, so there you have it. And I feel like that is all. I guess I'll just leave it there because she said it enough. She said what need to be said. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are on this mess and Kim Kardashian calling out Inhumane ice like she ate, just like you got her man hands stepmother, Caitlyn, out there in Israel for Tel Aviv Pride, being a Zionist as she is. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Whatever your thoughts are on this whole situation, let me know in the comments down below. Ooh, y'all got a lot to say. So let's hold on. I was like, Jesus. The English they call us. Oh, what is that, a sheep? It's like, it's so damn tiny. And you said, who's ready for man's best friend? The lambs are pissed that man child is debuting. And well, look, get over it. First of all, who cares if whether or not Mariah makes #1? You already know, like, Mariah's demographic is her demographic. Then we had this whole conversation. The reason why she's on this independent route right now is because the mainstream is not what it was and how they don't really cater to or take care of the legacy acts. Hence why Mariah is on a label with people who actually will genuinely push her music the way it needs to. So y'all worried about chart placements or other stuff. That's a young person's game. Let Sabrina Carpenter have that. She has a new album coming out in August. I already saw that some people already criticizing the fact that they don't like the cover. I will say the cover did kind of make me cringe a little bit. Because, like, why are you on your knees? You got some guy have a handful of your hair. But we know that the whole sexual suggestiveness is kind of like her bag now. Because after Espresso and her playing, up the comedy with the sexual stuff, that kind of like is the thing that has finally got people paying attention to Sabrina's music. But let's just hope that let's not fall into that whole Lil Nas X category where the antics are to outweigh the actual songs. Because I did listen to the new single. Finally, I got around to it, and it's cute. Jack Adnoff produced it. It's that Kardashian is just mad because they lost their landscapers. You know what? I would not be surprised. It's like, yeah. And you know, a lot of times people like her, they only come out when it affects them. So when you have farmers who sit in, I will vote for Donald Trump, when you have those types that go out and vote for him, and then they realize, oh yeah, y'all about to be affected too. They're not just gonna come for the immigrants or the ones that are illegal. He's trying to get rid of all of y'all because white people are becoming the minority in this country. Latinos are the demographic that is starting to surpass all the other ethnicities in regards of growth because of how many kids and how many families and stuff that they have. So you think white people want to lose all of that with all the, they want to maintain that power. They want to maintain being a part of the 1%, the status quo. So let's try to push them all out and get rid of them. But I'm like, first of all, we don't like roaches. Like you get rid of one, it's like 800 more gonna pop up. So I don't know why. So it's like in their mind, they thinking the way they think. And I'm like, this is a stupid strategy. So it's like, people ain't going no damn where. So you can try to deport as many people as you want. It's like, people ain't going nowhere. So you get rid of them, there's always going to be more coming in. So, like I was saying, it was like those people that work on farms that probably voted for him and those other stuff. Now they started to deport the people that worked on your farms. Now you got to get your ass up at 5 o'clock in the morning and tend to them horses or get the eggs from them damn chickens and squeeze the milk out them cows you got in the backyard. So you the one that got to deal with those other. Shout out to my friend Adam, who was actually in a relationship with a guy who's a farmer, and the way, you know, when I be following him and stuff, he be talking about he said, first of all, y'all be asking what it's like to date a farmer, and then he showed a picture of his man with no clothes on. I'm like, let's not exploit your man like that. But but then again, it's like the amount of chores and the work and stuff, and that's like, yeah, it's a lot of work, and you be tired. And if it's just, I don't know how many people he has. I should probably ask him that. It's like, how many people does I think they're engaged. How many people besides you, and you know, because I know he be helping them out and stuff. How many people actually works on the farm, and how much work is it? And I'm sure it's a lot of work. I mean, quiet as it's gonna. I actually would mind living on a farm. I like that peace and quiet. We've had this conversation before, but you keep saying a Jennifer Lopez B-side, and I keep telling y'all that this was a sound that was stolen from Mariah for Jennifer Lopez. Remember when Tommy Mottola, Shady bit her behind, decided to jump in the situation, and he was mad because Mariah wanted to kind of go off on her own and be her own person, and she was doing the whole using old school hip hop samples on a lot of the R&B type songs that she was doing because she didn't want to do all that contemporary. First of all, how you got this old 20-something-year-old doing these old lady songs? Although we do live for Love Takes Time and Emotions and all that other stuff. But Mariah was like, I need the music to reflect my age and what I actually grew up listening. Yeah, I'm glad you helped me get my foot through the door by singing these songs. And I know you wanted to showcase her 5-octave vocal range, but she was like, I want to do actually the music that I actually like doing. So, that's what the sabotage came in. So when Mariah was off doing what she was doing, when she was trying to get that sample, I can't remember what it was though, the sample, because I've heard it so many times, but I forgot what the actual sample was. They ended up getting that for Jennifer, and then when she was doing the remix of her songs, like Ain't It Funny and all that other stuff, that's when she started working with Murder Inc. and Ja Rule, and we already heard the conversations where the Ashanti jokes and stuff come in because they were trying to take a lot of the songs that Ashanti was doing and give them to Jennifer. So yeah, it's easy to compare and say that Type Dangerous does sound like a Jennifer Lopez B-side, which it does. But remember, people are saying that because it was like, I think more or less Jennifer Lopez benefited from that sound more so than Mariah did. Although they equally benefited. Or I feel like Mariah would still kind of stay with that sound. But but it was, the other songs felt more like it was definitely her. But then Jennifer went off and did other sounds of music. So she was getting more into the dance stuff, and there was like the Latin rhythms and all that stuff, which I was like, she should probably stick more to that Euro dance sound. Then I remember at one point she tried to swagger jack A. Marie, who I just heard filed for divorce from her husband. And who else was she swagging to? Oh, remember Lady Gaga? Because at one point she worked with Red One. Didn't she and her family vote for that man in office knowing that he and his administration, that's the alleged rumor. And I was like, hold on, I think I went down too far. She just realized now it goes whichever way. Exactly. You said, or she blows. I would say more or less the latter, or where she blows. Can y'all imagine Kim K running for office? And you know, there'd be some dumbasses that would actually vote for her. But I was like, what would she vote on? Like, she just passed the bar. And what kind of legal stuff is she doing? I mean, she's probably better off playing a damn lawyer than being one. Hence that new show she has coming out. I'm very excited for Man's Best Friend. NeNe has to understand that these kids aren't going to care. And if it doesn't resonate or appeal to them, so be it. That's why I said, focus on the lambs, focus on the adult fan base. And if the lambs are going to be, oh, she had a number one song. I'm like, okay, like she's past that. Mariah is pushing 60. She's on the later side of 50, more or less towards 60. And that's not a read. I'm just saying, like, you already know how ageism plays in this industry. Sabrina is that new it. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is like this Man's Best Friend will make her 7th album, but she is the new it girl, and they're gonna focus. You already know the younger generation is gonna go out there and buy all Sabrina Carpenter stuff. They're not even thinking about Mariah. The only ones that's thinking about Mariah are those of us who grew up with her music, like me. Oh God, please don't bring that into existence. We had 2 examples of celebrities. Okay, yeah. We had what was his name? Well, celebrities. What was it? Ronald Reagan and Trump. No, she doesn't. We already saw that at the BET Awards. Mm-hmm. The fact that these a-holes jump out of random vans and chase you down with masks on. And that's why I'm saying, like, first of all, how are they allowed to walk around with masks? But now they're trying to push for something like, if you were protesting against the fascism and the authoritarianism, or is it authoritarianism? Tongue twister. Then you can't wear a mask. So if the insurrectionists start they messing in, they don't get to wear masks too, right? Just checking. That's what I said. I'm voting independent too. I'm done with Democrats and Republicans. It said Biden was no better. He just hit it, and Kamala went out too. Absolutely, and that's why I've said the one thing I've noticed with Democrats is that yeah, they do that. They're no different than Republicans in some sort of way, and that's why what irritated me is I was watching The View, and they made a comment and said, "Oh, but the difference between Obama and Trump was that Obama did it the legal way because he's known as the deporter in chief. Like he's deported more people than Trump." And I was sitting there like, really? Because just because he did it the legal way, don't mean does that make it any better? Like I just don't understand that mentality. Oh, because of the side that you reside on, and you've been in the room with these people, and you've gotten to interview them. Like they just had Bill Clinton on the other day because he wrote a book with oh my God, I forgot the damn writer's name. He writes all those like political thriller type stuff. So yeah, he's co-wrote a book, and I'm saying, and then there was something there. They asked him about Donald Trump's golf game, and I'm like, what? Who cares? That's what they've been talking about his golf game. I don't think I heard about what Jasmine Crockett said. Democrats have got no teeth. No, they don't. Well, at least you know they're good at giving head because if you sitting there saying that they got no teeth, that's how we prefer it. Cover the teeth with the mouth. You said, letting everything happen. Exactly. They don't say nothing. Well, I love you too. You said, is it hyped over? I was like, what? Damn, what did I say? Is it because of the? It might have been all of it, right? Paid for by the New York skyscrapers. The tangent was 100. And you said a reporter just got fired for criticizing. Yeah, it was. I forgot his name of the reporter, but I think he recently interviewed Donald Trump, and he ended up getting fired. So history is repeating itself. How are people now freaking out about this? I think that we're still relatively shocked. Like I'm still having, even though I'm just up in here screaming at the top of my lungs, in the back of my head, I'm still like relatively shocked. I'm like, this is where how far we've come as a nation. Like I've never really experienced something about like this. I mean, I've read about it in history books growing up, but to literally see this happening in real time is even scarier. And I think like I'm still at that point in my head that I'm kind of in denial. But I'm on the other hand, I'm like, oh yeah, it's really happening. Not you liking Kim Kardashian now. This is not looking good for the potential Newsom presidential bid in 2028. And if Kamala tries to run for governor next year, well, I think she'd probably be better off being a governor of, first of all, I don't know why people want to run for president. Like when you run for president, you basically are a slave to the people that have donated to your campaigns. So the better jobs to have, I would think, would be, I mean, you can be a congressperson, but also if you're a governor, I would even say senator or a mayor, you have more power there than as a freaking president. Trump ain't running shit. That's all Project 2025 stuff. That's Stephen Miller. That's that other queen, the one who's not y'all don't see. That's in the that's behind the scenes. Peter Thiel, his crazy ass. He's also the one that's pulling the strings. And I'm wondering when JD Vance coming out the closet, all that damn Asghari he went. You can't tell me he actually like pussy. And the fact of the matter is, that old wife of his still putting up with it. And you know, he was chosen by Peter Thiel is the one who chose JD Vance to be the vice president. Trump ain't want him. He has another idea, but when you taking money from all these people, you're gonna go where the money resides because that's all he loves. He likes fame, he likes attention, he likes money. He don't care about this political stuff. Trump is only doing it because he didn't want to go to jail. And he knew his ass was going to prison. So he needs to thank Elon for keeping his ass out of prison. And now we got Apartheid Clyde, who's running around here talking about, oh, I want to walk back what I said. I don't know how you're going to walk it back. What's done is done. We already heard it. We didn't hear it. We read it from the tweets. And you said Republicans do what they want because Democrats got exactly. And it's like, do y'all actually care? And I don't understand why the media isn't really going on. I mean, in on them about it. This is going to be controversial, but I wish Doshi kept quiet. Black people, especially Black women, to stop playing Captain Save-A-Ho in the community. Well, I don't feel like that's what she was doing. I felt like, you know what? I like the fact that she spoke out and said what she said because we need people out here who should be using a voice to speak out for the voiceless. And so if she want to generally like generalize and say, because I get what a lot of y'all are saying. It's like, yeah, this is the part where we as Black people need to sit out because we be trying to, y'all always wanting to come to us and expect Black folks to clean up the mess that y'all make, that the Latin community will, you know, we've organized and a lot of our ancestors have organized and dealt with and put things in place to protect us over the years. Y'all are just now getting that rap. You ain't no Black and all that stuff. There was one video I saw that was on Instagram. I think I posted it in my stories. You had these Latinos dropping the N-word like it was just regular stuff coming out their mouth. And I'm still like, y'all them same I know Black folks. That wasn't the word I was going to use, but I'll say folks who run around here don't want no parts of Blackness, Black culture, a part of you having Black opinion. But then when y'all are affected, then y'all want to come to, but please help us. But it's like, no, you need to, and this is not for those who voted, who didn't vote for him. Y'all are exempt. Because I'm not trying to say that everybody who is of the Latin community voted for Trump. We know that's not true. But for those of y'all who did, this the fuck around and find out era. So I don't know so I don't feel like she's playing Captain Save-A-Ho. But I just feel like she want to use her platform to make a statement for people to be like, yeah, we can't just sit and ignore the things that's happening around us. So we could be aware. Don't necessarily mean we got to lift a finger. Ryan can't expect the #1 debut unless she gets a super viral running up that hill moment. I did hear like Joseph Kahn put out, I think he directed, right? Joseph Kahn, I think, posted something about that she may have, that there's some big surprise that's going to be in Mariah's upcoming video. So that is, but Crystal Vanity, who is a friend of mine, and Robert's in the room, his too. She thinks it's Britney. I don't know if it's going to be Britney, but they said a big surprise. But we'll see what it is when that video drops. I saw Sabrina's cover and went at first, but then I realized it does kind of look like a smaller feminine hand grabbing her by the hair. At least Sabrina is not selling bath. Wait, when we talking about bathwater soaps, wait, who's doing that? Is that Azealia Banks? You know who's also selling soap, but they said it's based on. Oh wait, you said bathwater soap. Is that was that a Sydney Sweeney read? Because I'm like, that's gross. First of all, I'm not washing in nobody's bathwater. And how do you even take that and turn that into a soap? Yeah, justice for glitter. I believe it. You said the song was Firecracker that was sampled for low. Oh, okay. He said the Swiftologist did a Y2K pop girl album ranking and said, "You will never see me praise Jennifer Lopez." Why you had to throw? Why is everybody just coming hard for Miss Jennifer? Ashanti is doing very well right now with emancipated talent. He's a genius and great guy. Well, you want to know something? I did see Ashanti perform at the BET Awards, and she was definitely doing her thing, taking all the right places. I know people still mad at her husband for being a Donald Trump fan. He was like, "Oh damn, she voted for him." Well, that was a quick 5 minutes of liking. It says sheep are goats now. Those of us who grew up with her music and the Zoomers who listened to music from before they were born. Justice for Charm bracelet and someone's ugly. Yeah, because sometimes, sometimes when I go on my tangent, I don't know where them stuff be coming from. It just comes, like, I be feeling it too. It'd be like banging on the top of my head. And then it just comes out. And then I don't remember what I said. I be having to watch the playback. I'm like, damn, I said all of that. It's like, I'm worried we're headed. Well, the recession followed by the depression. So, yeah, it's all coming. It's only a matter of time. Seeing the rise of conservatism is scary to me. Growing up in a world where liberal values were a norm and seeing everything go backwards. And I feel like if y'all want to do y'all conservatism, do that where y'all at. But don't be trying to come over here and indoctrinate our mess. It's like we like what we like. That's why we are in the blue states, to get away from all that mess. And that's why a lot of people who lived in the red states moved out and came to the blue states, because they didn't want to be a part of that. So especially when you were a queer youth and they were kicked out of their homes as kids, a lot of them came to New York for that better way of life. Now, if they found it, that was great. But a lot of times I don't think they did, though, because it was, a lot of them end up on the streets homeless. They doing drugs, prostituting, all that other stuff. Like, or ended up in a house. And by in a house, I mean like House of Aviance, House of LaBeija, House of, those type of houses, as y'all have seen played out in the show like Pose. Yeah, they are. The majority are for sale. Old money manipulation and new money greed. Mexicans with not Edgar haircuts. Is it the Edgar haircut, or is it or they this thing now where all these kids walking around with this damn broccoli haircut. They all got the same haircut. It said love throwing around the N-word amongst themselves, but never around an actual black person that could sucker punch them back to their homeland. Yeah, yeah, because it was like a boy and a girl that was like this, that whole word, because of apparently, I guess that one of the guys who they recognized, that was one of the cops that was at the LA riot, this recent not riot, but the protest. I guess he was a frequent customer at a food spot that they worked at, and they recognized him. So they decided to make a whole video about it, about dropping the N word, every other word. She sure does. And you know what? She mentioned that in her speech on how she lives in her own little bubble and they'll play up the whole diva thing. And that's her judge. Sydney Sweeney is selling. So that's what I said. It was like, I said, was that a Sydney Sweeney read? And the men are loving that. Apparently she out here hunching Glenn Powell. And Glenn Powell's ex, I think, but from what I heard, said a little snide comment about it. But I'm like, did you not see how she came off in Euphoria? Why did y'all think she was acting? Because remember when she was all up on Jacob Elordi and his girlfriend was going to kill her ass because she was all up on her man? Don't she have soap that smells like her coochie? She ain't the only one. Erykah Badu got one too. The rise of the rise of conservatism and fascism is always a result of neoliberalism. Child say that to Tamar. That's a whole tongue twister. Hmm. And look, isn't he supposed to be having like his little military birthday parade or whatever? That's supposed to look something straight out of North Korea this weekend. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the new pope has simultaneously sold out some stadium or whatever. So I wonder if they're gonna run it at the same time. And I heard like the media is kind of struggling with how they're gonna air it. I'm like, you don't have to, because none of us asked to see some stupid parade that he's using our tax-paying dollars. This man will find a way to grift and use other people's money to pay for his stupidness. And this is, of course, coming from a man who bankrupted 6 damn casinos. Like, make that make sense. I know they've been trying to make casinos in New York. We was actually talking about that the other day at one of my meetings. That, this, I don't even want to get into it because I might get in trouble for bringing this up live on air. So let me just move on. This whole thing about casinos. But anyway, yeah, let me get this be the last comment, and then I'm gonna just move on to the next story, which of course is Miss Britney. So now Black folks in NYC made non-Black Latinos too comfortable using the N-word far too long, as well as Arabs, Asians, and other non-Black minorities. Yeah, because they always seem to be like, oh, it's an exception if you are, in New York, especially like with Fat Joe loves making excuses about it. But anyway, let's move on, y'all. All right, let's talk about this Britney Spears story. So apparently, Britney Spears decided to jump on the gram and go off on 2 of her exes, who she did not mention, because Sam Asghari recently did an interview. I believe it was with Page Six Live. And he was basically claiming in the interview, he basically said that their marriage, he basically talked about the pros and cons of their marriage and how the marriage helped him in many ways and how the marriage also hurt him in many ways. So she said, an extremely shady week and not feeling the love and honesty. If I did, I'd graciously send it right back to your ass, fucking birds. This is what she wrote in a lengthy Instagram caption. Actually, why am I entertaining y'all? Because the last time I made this mistake, I was like, I ain't doing that again. Let me bring up her Instagram post, because y'all know she loves an exclamation point. Y'all don't want to go and do that joke again. She loves an exclamation point. But so yeah, I'm gonna put that there. I'm gonna take all that out. They done edited it, which I didn't like. I would have rather they kept all the stuff in. But we'll just go through it. So she said, I honestly think it started at the beginning of this year when I'm so turned off by humanity and the way people have literally 3 dots. I have no words, 3 exclamation points. I do know I talk to animals and I'm extremely close to God and feel such a strong intuition, 3 exclamation points. The strongest connection I feel is in Maui. She does love Hawaii, by the way, as it's a more clear and distinct connection that awakens and enlightens me, 3 exclamation points. But it's because it's the earth. Like, being one with the earth, it's very like peaceful and if you're like an earth sign like me, I do like the whole connection with nature. I don't believe she's an earth sign because she's a Sagittarius. Or is she? I don't know. I need my astrologist to jump in the line. What is a Sagittarius considered? Is that an earth sign? Is that an air sign? Is that a water sign? Not. I talk to animals, saying Britney. But anyway, I don't know. I'll come back to that. Let me finish what she had to say. Where was I? I just said, blah, blah, blah. Oh God. I think she said, fuck it. I don't know because it's blank. So we're just going to have to fill in. I guess this will be a game of fill in the blank. So a lot of words, I will get to the point. Please do. I went to a place and saw so many lines, but before I walked down this long hallway on each side, there was probably 17 lines in this place, 3 exclamation points. I stopped and I almost went to my knees, 3 exclamation points. I felt something so incredibly holy, and I didn't understand what was it, Sam Smith, while I was the only one in complete awe and shock of not even seeing them yet. I felt all of them, 3 exclamation points. Girl, whatever happened to a damn period? Well, to make a long story way shorter, 3 exclamation points, 3 of the lions stood all the way up and put their hands at the top of the cage 3 separate times, 3 exclamation points. I will admit it was fucking insane, 3 exclamation points. He said they've never stood up for anyone before, and Steven Spielberg was just here yesterday, 3 exclamation points. Anyways, I dated 2 fucking complete a-holes after that, and I realized I love their dogs more than them, and I think it's because their dogs bow to me every time I enter the room. Oh, so you having your Beyonce bow down bitches moment? Exclamation point. Now the guys were, of course, cruel humans and never even acknowledged me and never held my hand in the car for 6 years. 3 exclamation points. I choose animals over people any day. 3 exclamation points. Maybe I should go say hi to the lions. She got a comma. Yes, finally a new punctuation. The most feared animal in the world, yet they acknowledge me. Got the monkey covering up the eyes emoji, 3 question marks. Oh, look, another punctuation. Go ahead, Brittany. I'm glad you know something else besides a 3 exclamation point. Okay, so all jokes aside, because I just love, I am a grammar Nazi. So, with all that being said, I feel like what they were saying is that this all may have stemmed because it was unclear basically on who she was talking about. So they don't know if necessarily she was talking about Sam Asghari. She could have been talking about, that one she was married to for like 10 minutes before that was annulled. She could have been talking about Kevin Federline. We don't. She could have been talking about what's his name, the ex felon. She could have been talking about him. Who knows? So we don't necessarily know who she was talking about because she wasn't being specific. But I should point out that the reason why all this came up, because apparently, like I said, Sam Asghari did an interview over there with Page Six Live, and he said the following on how their whirlwind marriage both helped and hurt his career. He said, quote, I can't sit here and lie and say it wasn't good for me. This is what the Iranian born model began. When you're in such a public relationship, that gives you that platform. It sort of gave me that platform for who I am. Although, as Gary said, the romance boosted his career, he said it also hindered it. He said, did it make me, have to work harder to prove myself? Absolutely. Now, the trainer star claimed casting agents questioned whether they wanted to hire someone that's a cheesy trainer and was associated with a pop star. I think that is just the dumbest thing. It's like, first of all, y'all have hired worse. I mean, when you look at some of those reality shows and reality stars, especially the ones that be over on Bravo, like you're wondering, okay, so why would I want to hire someone who is a personal trainer? That's their profession, and also like he's a personal trainer. He also models and he's an actor because he was also on that show. Oh my god, I totally forgot the name of it. That show, that Lioness, I believe is the name of it, with the first season with Zoe Saldana. He was on that, so he had an acting role on that show, and he was on The Traitors, but he didn't really stand out on The Traitors. He was just a little too nice. And then he would throw in his little, the things about Britney, and nobody really knew who he was on the show. But yeah, he had his little moments and whatever, but Sam never really stood out. But it's like, yeah, when you are somebody who nobody knows that gets in a high profile relationship with someone of Britney's stature, and it could just be anybody. It could be, same thing for if any one of Madonna's past boy toys were trying to pursue a career in the entertainment industry, even though her current man is an athlete. So he's got his own thing going. He don't necessarily need her to help his career. But when Britney got with Sam, who she met on the set of her Slumber Party music video, it was like, yeah, we didn't know who you were. And I know in the back of his mind, he probably would this be considered similar to like a Nepo baby situation where it's just like, yeah, a lot of people are complaining about the whole Nepo baby thing. Like most recently you had Patrick Schwarzenegger. He was like, I was kind of wondering if I should change my last name because I wanted to come in and be my own person. I didn't want to have to just rely on the last name to be taken seriously as an actor because everybody looks at, oh yeah, your last name is Schwarzenegger. But it's like, yeah, the doors and the opportunities and stuff is there, but you have to walk through it and prove that you are talented. I feel like it's the same way where it's like you are nobody who was hunching. I mean, I don't mean nobody but it's like in pretending this conversation, you know what I'm saying. So when you're somebody who just has to go and nobody really knows who you are, but because you are dating a Britney Spears, it's like, give me a chance. Like, I can show you that I have talent. I can show you that if I'm a fledgling singer, but I just happen to be dating Britney, or I'm a struggling actor, but I happen to be dating a Britney type, that I have talent too. And for them to kind of put that in that whole situation, I feel like that is unfair. But yeah, I guess it would feel like it would hurt me, because it's like people aren't taking me seriously because of who I'm dating. And maybe it's also they were looking at it because of Britney's reputation, with her mental health and some of the things that she's done in the past and all this stuff. Yeah, she's a pop icon and we love her music and we love her stamp on pop culture and what she's done in regards to the whole MTV TRL era. Like, we and Britney are of the same generation. We are of the same cloth. We come from the same cloth in regards to like age range, all that other stuff. Growing up with MTV, TRL, that whole situation. But I guess maybe that people felt that a lot of her antics have overshadowed the talent over the years. So that's probably another reason why they wouldn't take her seriously. But I don't feel like she should be kind of coming at him too. I know there's people out there who don't particularly care for Sam and think he's an opportunist, all this other stuff. I don't know. I don't really get that from him. I mean, maybe I got a blind spot. I don't know, but I need some proof in regards of where y'all came to that conclusion. But for the most part, I just feel like he genuinely cared about her, and now he's trying to find his own way and do his own thing. And I don't feel like what he said was bad. So if Britney is feeling away about what he said, it's like, girl, I need you to stop being a little too damn sensitive, because it's like, yeah, while you are the famous one and all this other stuff, as a person, I should be allowed to tell my truth, to be like, yeah, while I did benefit wholeheartedly for being Mr. Britney Spears, it also hurt me because I'm trying to go off and do my own thing and be a career person, and people aren't taking me seriously. So I don't think he meant any harm by what he said. But anyway, so that's all I got to say on that. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Do you think that what he said was a little, harsh? And who do you think that Britney was talking about? Because, she loves being vague when she coming for somebody. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Let's say, where am I? They were hauling away the statues from those casinos. I live in a Trump building. Oh, Lord, not a Trump building. He said his father built it and then sold it. Asked me how many structural problems they have. And I'm sure it's a lot, because, even I remember there was a story that was saying that people really believe that he had, like, when you watch the Apprentice, that was his actual office and all that stuff. No, they was like, no. First of all, that was all a set. There was a lot of misdirection and people thinking like what you saw was not what you saw. It's reality TV. So when you were watching it, it was like, they said like a lot of, like, when you mentioned the structural problems, that brought me back to that, because there was somehow how like the buildings just be, a lot of the carpets be looking a mess. The furniture is old as hell. Like, he loves his tacky gold and all this stuff. It's just like, yeah, they had to do a whole set design when it came to him. I think I might have missed them. Did I read these? It was like, Trump will call any protest against the ideals of a riot, but an insurrection against Capitol heroes. Like, if it was NYC, yeah, I did read those, because I was like, did I read those? But I don't think I read this one. While they practice anti-blackness, it's embarrassing. They wouldn't do that outside of New York City. No, they wouldn't. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's a fire sign. Thank you. Because all I be known is my sign, which is an earth sign. Sagittarius is a fire sign. Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. She should have earth energy. She probably does. Because if she's thinking like that, then she's got to have earth energy, especially because she's a December Sagittarius, not a November Sagittarius. And that is close to Capricorn, which is an earth sign. So she probably does have that. Volcanic. But they are known for having an interest in long distance travels of foreign places and spiritual enlightenment. Perhaps it's why she loves quiet so much. Mm-hmm. And she loves going to Hawaii. At least that's the archetype of Sagittarius. I've often wondered what kooky old ladies were like when they were younger. Has Sam been skin bleaching? Why is his hair brown too? Did he dye it? It might have been, or maybe he's out in the sun, because you know a lot of times when you're out in the sun, that do change your hair color and stuff. A couple of people on Traders knew who he was because of Britney. I don't know, for some reason there was some people that was acting like they didn't really know who he was. So maybe they had to tell him, kind of like they had to tell people who Lydia Butthole Collins was, because the only one who knew who she was Mistress, because she was on that episode of Drag Race where she got roasted. Speaking of traders, Bob proved he's not an actual Madonna fan because he failed miserably at Madonna trivia. I gotta watch that Kelly Mantle show, because it's like, yeah, how do you not know who Nikki Harris or Donna Delore is? So that goes to show, it's like, you really don't know about Madonna. Why does he look like Travis Kelce? Well, I guess he's got to, because, you know, when they want, especially, which is kind of hard. How do you lose your Middle Eastern heritage? Because if you go out in LA, there's a lot of the Middle Eastern, like Iranians, there's a lot of Persians, a lot of Armenian types. Like when I lived in LA, particularly when I was like out there in Beverly Hills and things of that nature, in Los Angeles, that's all that was out there. So, and they all smell good too. So I can imagine, like, I wonder what Sam smell like, because, you know, they love a cologne. I don't know how he's avoiding the sun, because it's summertime now and it's hot out. Unless you're walking around like you Wednesday Addams with an umbrella. You said Bob's gig on Madonna's tour should have went to Kevin. Hello, that's who it really should have went to. You should have had Kevin Aviance go on tour with you. But then again, that might have been hard, because with the success of Beyonce's Renaissance and that whole thing, that helped cause a resurgence in Kevin's career. And shout out to him, because I'm glad that he's doing better and stuff now. Shout out to Mother Juan Aviance too, because, you know, and we talked about it before, he was in the hospital, but now he's doing better. I believe he was like recently at a Pride event, because that's, you know, when the girls make their money. He has a new album coming out. So Kevin has been busy a lot lately, especially being up under Brandon Voss and his whole umbrella, because that's, you know, Voss Entertainment is who represents him. You know, Brandon Voss also does a lot of the Drag Race stuff. So, and Cherie Lilly, who used to be married to Andrew WK, is his manager. It's funny how we know all of this. So, I would have liked to have seen Kevin Aviance be the one that was on tour with Madonna. But then again, would you want somebody on tour with you that used to refer to you as Madudu? He said Bob got his ballroom character from watching Billy Porter on Pose. Child, quiet as it's good. You didn't really have to watch Billy Porter on Pose. You could just put on Paris is Burning, and which I think Billy Porter got his from one of the queens. Who was it that it was? I'm trying to remember his name. The one was like, opulence, you own everything. Everything is yours. You know, him. I wonder if that's who Billy Porter got his Pray Tell character from. No, probably water. It's an island. It's surrounded by water, big water influence, big water energy. I still can't believe I was friends with Sam's sister and never knew who she was. You knew Sam Asghari's sister? I would have been like, yeah, what was that like? I was listening to the In the Zone earlier this morning, so I'm happy you had a Britney topic today. Sam can keep being asked about her in every interview. His opportunistic ass does. Well, you know what's coming. They're always going to be asking him stuff about her. It's kind of like whenever Sandra Bernhard or somebody get interviewed, they be asking about Madonna, who, what's his name? Andy Cohen was still out here talking about, you know, because when he was on The View last week, they was asking who's his dream guest. I was like, I know he gonna say fucking Madonna. And of course, that's what he said. Okay, well, you know, they all kind of have that whole Hollywood spiritual vibe out there. But anyway, let's move on, y'all, and let's get into our next story, which is Katy Perry. So apparently we talked a little bit about this yesterday, about Katy Perry and the fact that because of the stress that she's undergoing with the Lifetimes tour and the failure of her 143 album that she is worrying about, like, I guess it's taking a toll on her relationship with excuse me, Orlando Bloom. And to the point where the word on the curb is they're not even together anymore. So it's over, one source told Page Six. They're waiting till her tour is over before they split. Now, Perry is currently on her Lifetimes tour, which began on April 23rd and runs through December 7th. So you're going to wait till 2020, damn near 2026, to talk about how y'all not hunching no more? Now, the pair first met in 2016 at a Golden Globes after party. They got engaged on Valentine's Day in 2019. So 6 years later, y'all still haven't walked down the aisle? So y'all been living in sin because they have a child together called Daisy Dove, who was born in 2020 on August 26th. Child, they got a Virgo for a kid. Good luck with that. Especially when, as emotional as we are, and we got to deal with somebody, if our mother's like Katy Perry, I'm sure Daisy going to be butting heads with her mother. So they said sources have told People that stress over the poor reception of her new album 143 has caused tension in the stars' relationship. Katy was deeply frustrated following the reception of her new album, a source told the Pub, as a publication. It made her very stressed. Orlando was understanding, but it did cause some tension. Another source told the magazine she was also disappointed in some of the tour reviews. It put stress on their relationship. Now, Perry addressed the past break on Call Her Daddy in 2024, saying, "We weren't really in it from day one. He was because he had just done a huge time of celibacy and he had set intentions." Because apparently they said that he was spending time in Miami, Florida last month. The couple had split for a year in 2017 before they got back together. And she said, "I was fresh out of a relationship and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to swim in a different pond, but I had to do a lot of real work." When you talking about swimming in a real pond, is that metaphor for I kissed a girl and I liked it, like you was doing that for real? Or are you talking about that you needed to like not be in a relationship, that you had to become one with yourself before you decided to feel that you were comfortable enough to jump in a new relationship? So that same month, the pop star told People, she said, "Orlando and I, when we argue, we kind of argue hot and fast and then cool really quickly. I was like, la, 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 I love you. All right, let's move on. We are fire, fire, fire." And also Daisy sees all of that. "He's a real sage. We both have parts of ourselves. There's two parts of us, our highest good and then our carnal material self. Ego. When the ego is running the show, then it's like, whoa, but when it's in check, then we both something else." So the couple have previously said they have turned to couples therapy, which I always say is pretty good. Like if you're going to get in a relationship, I would always recommend like, see a therapist, work out whatever your situations is, because sometimes you try to be the more practical one and mediate your own situation, but sometimes you can't see beyond what's in front of you. So it's best to just bring in someone who isn't biased, and then you can just take it from there. So in 2023, the Pirates of the Caribbean actor opened up about their challenges in Florence, saying, "We're in two different pools for their work. Her pool is not a pool that I necessarily understand, and I think my pool is not a pool that she necessarily understands." Well, yeah, because she's a singer and you're an actor. So she doesn't understand that world. I mean, yeah, she's probably performing for 14 to 16 hours shooting a music video for a day or two, and that might be a little bit of as close to acting as she gets. But acting is a whole nother ball game. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all one and the same when it comes to performing. But yeah. So he also added, he says, sometimes things are really, really, really challenging. I won't lie. We definitely battle with our emotions and creativity. I think we're both aware of how blessed we are, but have uniquely connected in a way that we did at the time that we did. And there's definitely never a dull moment. Now, Bloom and their daughter attended the Dark Horse Singers' recent 11-minute trip to the Edge of Glory on the all-female Blue Origin. You already know the controversy, that stuff around that. But according to Page Six, who I believe wrote this story, they said they reached out to the reps of the couple, and of course they haven't gotten back to them. But I'm not surprised by this at all. I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. There was stories about that because of what's going on in her career, it is affecting her relationship. But I think also at the same time, I know it's hard, but we gotta not allow the work stuff affect the relationships we have with people who genuinely love and care about us. So I hope it's like when she's talking about, oh, I tune out the noise and stuff from all the people that are hating on her. And I don't think it's necessarily haters, and maybe there are some haters, but for those of us who genuinely is like, girl, you are just someone who just lives in this bubble. And the whole thing with Kesha and working with Dr. Luke and all the other messages, and then the excuses behind why you decided to work with him and came up with this whole high, cockamamie story that just made no sense. It was just ridiculous. So I think that's why people are kind of dragging her over that situation. But I just feel like because she lives so far in this damn bubble and is probably surrounded by a bunch of guest people, she's not seeing it. And now all that stress and everything is taking itself out. She's taking all that stress and stuff out on her, the father of her child. Because that ain't her husband. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the rumors circulating that Katy Perry and Orlando's relationship is pretty much over? That they're waiting until the end of the tour to call it quits, which I have to say is way more noble because remember when she was I won't say on her last tour, but when she was on a tour and she was married to Russell Brand Shady behind, who's out here being accused of assaulting women. Didn't he break up with her via text when she was about to go live in one of her concerts? So at least you ain't gonna do her that dirty. It's like I'm gonna just give you the grace of we gonna split at the end of the year when the whole situation is over. Or you could just do like what A. Marie doing with her husband before she filed for divorce. She'd been separated from that man for 2 years before now she filed for divorce, because I believe that story came out yesterday or the day before. I saw it yesterday though. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. You said you saw there's a documentary coming. Yeah, I did see that there's something coming out about Vina. I think you posted that, but I haven't seen any advertisements about it. But speaking of which, I got to revisit Paris is Burning. It's been a minute since I saw that show. There was a lot of rewatches I want to do. I want to do a quick rewatch of Noah's Ark too, but I don't want to jump ahead because that is one of the stories. So we'll get to that. I'm surprised they lasted this long. Feel okay? New pop star car relationship smell evaporate. Okay, look, I was surprised. I was surprised they had they've been together for as long as they've been together. It was like 10 years. I saw a cute video of Orlando on a red carpet for the Tribeca Film Festival with their dog. Was that recent? Because I think the Tribeca Film Festival is happening or happened. Speaking of which, shout out to my friend Daniel Nardisi. I don't know if it happened yet. Oh wait, it didn't. It happens tomorrow, and I'm not gonna be able to go. I wanted to go actually, but I know at Sherry Vine's doing a show at Red Eye, and I think right after the documentary that was based off of someone who I actually got to know briefly because I used to frequent a lot of his fairly interesting parties. Dean Johnson, who had like parties with a performer, prostitute, club promoter, all that other stuff. So Dean Johnson was that person back in the day. Like back if you liked, queers and sleaziness and stuff in the East Village, it was like him, Daniel Nardicio, even Mario Diaz before he left was kind of the foundation of all that in the New York party scene. And I always prefer to go more or less on the east side than the west side, because a lot of you west side queens were a little, high maintenance and a little. I just didn't like that energy, so I prefer to go up to the east side because a little more rock and roll up there. But anyway, so Dean Johnson, there's a documentary that was done based on his life. And I know that at Red Eye they're showing it tomorrow because I didn't get to go when they did the official premiere. I totally forgot about it when they first did the premiere, and a lot of people that I knew was actually there. So I wanted to go, and I'm not. It's not going to happen. I'm like for the second time. So hopefully, I'm hoping it ends up being picked up by a distributor, and I'll get to see it somewhere. Said an infamous stage hopper in Australia jumped on stage while. Oh yeah, I think I heard about that. Performer enjoyed the show because there'll never be another show like this again. So there was a video of a fan running. Oh yeah, that's what I was like. I heard about that, but I didn't get to see it. Oh, you say I think you did say that you follow him, Orlando. All right, y'all. So let's move on to our next topic. Let's get into this Tamar story. So, y'all already know a couple of weeks ago, Tamar got dragged on social media because she did an interview with NeNe Leakes. And when they were talking about a couple of things, they love. I'm surprised she didn't, bringing up Candy Burris and all this other stuff. Surprised she didn't bring up Candy Burris during the interview with T.S. Madison. But she, did the interview with NeNe, and they got to talking they got to talking about Loni Love, her former The Real co-host, to which she repeatedly referred to her as Big Back Cadillac. So with her doing all of that, of course, people on social media decided to drag her. And so now, weeks later, she's decided to apologize. So a few weeks after Tamar threw Venetian blind shade at the former The Real co-host, Loni Love, on NeNe Leakes' talk show, the singer/messy media personality has issued an apology. While kikiing with the Breakfast Club's Lauren LaRosa, Tamar addressed calling Loni Love Big Back Cadillac and the social media backlash that ensued. Quote, that is me being on NeNe's show. I love NeNe. We have a lot of history, but that is an interview I'm not so proud of. There were cocktails involved, and I just feel like everything is not for the public, she said after referring to the interview as girlfriend kitchen talk. Later in the conversations, the 48-year-old R&B diva formally backtracked on her offensive statement. Say, I probably should say this out loud in front of everybody. I apologize for calling her a Big Back Cadillac. That was just a vulnerable moment, and I apologize, Loni. Not only did she apologize, but she even said she'd be open to reconciling with Loni. Now, while that, in my opinion, may be a mature of Tamar, who we've always gone on the record to say about her that at her big age, she just be acting so damn immature. And we live for the lip smacking, the sassiness, the shadiness, the one-liners, all of the stuff. And yeah, it's all entertaining. But I think it comes to a point where people just get tired of the BS. And it was big of her to want to put out an olive branch. But I don't know if this should be a situation where you out here blaming it on the alcohol. See, I'm about sick of people always trying to blame things on, oh, the drinks was flowing or something. I'm like, girl, how much did you have? Because if I'm doing a show and I'm not drinking like to the point of, remember that iconic episode of Watch What Happens Live when Regina King and Jack A. Harry was on it and they was 3 sheets to the wind from the amount that they drank. Now that's the pinnacle of drinking. I would think that you have to get to be able to say the things that you were saying about Loni Love. But you now saying all of this, it's like, I don't know if I'm buying it 110% that you wanted to sit up here and say, oh, it was the drinks was flowing, that this was something I should have kept to myself. Because I'm like, when NeNe was asking you the questions about being on the real and what you was going through in that whole situation, you could have just spoke freely and not been to the point where you could have talked about what happened in your experience, but not be at a, but not go in and call Loni a name. Now, don't get me wrong. It was funny and I laughed because I'm entertained by the shenanigans and you knew what you was doing when you said what you said. But I feel like you're trying to backpedal because of the backlash that ensued from you calling her Big Back Cadillac, because you said it more than once, even to the point where NeNe was even jumping in and calling her Big Back Cadillac. And it's like, ma'am, this is your talk show. You need to be a little more mature than the person you got on as a guest, or at least call out and be like, sis, like, pump your brakes on the big girl reads. Because remember, once upon a time, y'all both was, battling the bulge too. I won't say that Tamar was ever a bigger. I mean, at one point she was because she had the kid and stuff. But NeNe, you wasn't always, Slim Shady either. I'm trying to think of a name. I was gonna call her Slim Thug. But anyway, so yeah, so basically, you know what? I'm glad that you apologize. I'm glad you're the bigger person, but I feel like you need to grow. You got a lot of growing up to do. Like you really need. I hope this is not one of those situations like, oh yeah, I apologize, and then a couple of weeks later you get interviewed again and you say something else where you repeat the same behavior over and over and over again. And I think that's probably what the issue that a lot of people have with Tamar. It's like, yeah, okay, that's great that you apologize, but you keep doing this. You keep following the same pattern. You keep repeating the same pattern, I guess is what I want to say. Keep doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. And what we call that, the definition of insanity. So I definitely want to hear from y'all, whatever your thoughts are on this story regarding Tamar Braxton. I mean, I would ask y'all, agree with, or you here for the apology, but I guess it don't matter what we think. The apology happened. So I want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your overall thoughts on this story in the comments down below. That's what she said. Big back Cadillac. They said Tamar has turned over a new leaf about 11. Okay, exactly. Every time I turn around, it's like you say stuff, you get called out, you apologize, you blame it, you always got an excuse. It's like you don't take ownership for things you're doing. It's like you are on the late, you are close to 50. You're like late 40s. You're pushing 50. Like it comes to a point in time you gotta mature. Well, I intentionally picked that picture. Okay. There's always a method to my madness. But yeah, sis, if your hairlines start like at the same, spot as Stephen A. Smith's, then maybe you need to have them put some clip-in bangs or get you a wig that doesn't, because when you try to do the weave and your hairline but start at the halfway point, you're just asking to be read. Or maybe you need to use that hair product, that Funky Dineva, and that's your good friend. That hair product that Funky Dineva was just promoting on his show. I think it was yesterday. Or it might have been Friday show, Thursday show or whatever. Because I remember he was doing like I'm talking about if you got problems with your edges and you need your edges to come back, you need to recover your edges, I should say. Okay, y'all. Let me see. How many more topics we got? We have. Oh, we got 4 more topics and then we're done with today's show. So before we get to those topics, if you can please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I'll be putting in timestamps during the live. Once the live is over, I should say. So that way those who don't want to go in on the live, you can basically just skip right to the segments before we get to, so you don't have to sit through all the banter and all that good stuff. All right. So now further ado, since we're already talking about NeNe, let's go from one of her talk show guests to another. And let's talk about T.S. Madison, who y'all already know what happened. We talked a bit about it yesterday. I did a whole breakdown of it. If y'all need a full recap of what I had to say, because it was a lot, you can watch one of the clipped out segments that I did from yesterday. It is on the YouTube channel where you can get the full breakdown. But so just to give y'all a quick one, NeNe appeared on a recent episode of NeNe Leakes show. T.S. Madison, I believe. I'm sorry. I think I said NeNe appeared on NeNe's show. T.S. Madison appeared on NeNe Leakes show to talk about a bunch of topics. One of the topics that they ended up talking about was men dating trans women and how men identify if they date trans women. And of course, because of some of what NeNe said, people believe that she was being a bit transphobic in a lot of her commentary. Now, I do have the clip because I was like, in case I got to show it again, for those of you who may have missed it, we're going to play the clip and then we'll come back and we'll talk. Please hold.
Do you only know gay men?
Well, I don't date gay men.
Well, okay. Well, I when you guys be saying that, that's weird.
Why?
Because what do you mean you don't date gay men? Because if he is sleeping with you and sleeping with a woman, he's something.
Well, he's not gay.
What is he?
He's definitely not gay.
He's bi?
Listen, because if a man come in here and he looks at me and you.
Yeah. What is he?
Well, he likes women.
Yeah, because he doesn't know.
Well, and if he does know, he likes women.
Okay.
Now,
but what is he?
Well, that would possibly, it's a possibility.
He's bisexual?
He could be bi or he could be pan.
Okay, guys.
You know, a lot of men are, a lot of men are pan, but they don't say anything. Like
I don't want to run into them. I don't want to date him.
NeNe, if you've dated,
I need you to like
NeNe. If you've
Hello
dated,
Kitty all the time.
If you've dated men,
yes.
If you've dated men, there's a possibility in your life that
he's been with a man.
He's been with something.
What do you mean he's been with something?
He's been outside. I mean, here's the thing. I know that women consider trans women men because we were born male, but there's a difference between being man
And
male.
I get it. But you have your part.
That's correct.
So he can love you and think you're so beautiful, and I want to sit with you.
There are men who deal with me that won't touch my parts. Anytime you see
But does he know it's there?
Yeah, he knows it's there. I'm not hiding it.
Oh, you're not?
No.
I mean, that
listen,
wouldn't make any sense.
Well, I've had gentlemen to tell me, hey, put a pillow over that. And I'm like, well, you're not the nigga for me. You don't have to touch it and deal with it, but I'm not hiding shit from you.
So, okay, wait a minute. We got to go back and figure this out.
Yeah.
So the man...
Now we talking.
Yeah, so the man going to be sleeping with me and you? I don't want to talk to him no more.
You don't?
Why the hell you going to sleep with me then going to sleep with you for?
Men like variety.
Oh, please. I don't want him.
Well, shit, I mean, hey, but it's happening.
I'm over it.
But these things, this is what women...
That's why I'm not even dating. I mean,
It's funny because NeNe be sounding so much like a child when the front of like, I don't want to be dealing with him. But you want to know something? Here's the thing. Like I said yesterday, I don't think that she is homophobic. I do, or transphobic. I do feel like that she comes from, as Maddie said, or what we're going to get to is like, she comes from a time where this is how a lot of women like her think. And they believe that if you are with someone who is transgender, that the man has to be pansexual, the man has to be bisexual, that he's got some type of other tendencies. And the fact of the matter is, it's like what I was saying for me. I'm not a gold star homosexual, but I have had sex with women. Therefore, I was going to say, but in both, I combine both. However, as you get older and you start to become more comfortable and stuff with who you are, you know exactly what it is that you want. So I would not necessarily want to be in trying to have sex. Now, I could have sex with a woman because it's not hard for men to actually have sex with women. And there are gay men who have no problem getting it up for a woman and having sex with a woman. But that's not something that they actually prefer to do. It's something they can just get into. And there are women out there who will have sex with a gay guy. I don't know if it's necessary to change them or whatever the case is. That's whatever type of situation, that's between them. But it is possible that, yes, a gay man, because he's a man and he has a dick and it doesn't get hard, can have sex with a woman. It's the same thing like when you're thinking about with trans women. It's like, yes, trans women are women at the end of the day. Now, we're not trying to say, because I think where it comes from also when it comes to women, that women believe that, okay, like we said yesterday, bad enough that women have to compete with other women for a man. Then there's the possibility that I got to compete with this gay man for a man. And now I got to compete with trans women for a man, because the only difference is like, okay, they're women, but they have something a little extra between me down there. That's the plus. But for the most part, it's just like, men are visual creatures. So when you looking at somebody that's a woman, it's like, yeah, but according to NeNe, in her mind, she's thinking this stereotype that trans women are out here tricking men into having sex with them. And that's not what happened. Because do they know about it? Are they aware? I'm like, have you not ever seen an episode of the T.S. Madison, whatever she does? Fag Talk, whatever. I mean, she is like one of the most prominent trans porn stars, even though she don't do it no more. But they still out here watching her stuff. They're well aware of who T.S. Madison is. So she's never hidden. I mean, there may be some that do, but when we talk about her, she's never been the type that has ever hid who she is as a person. So I don't think NeNe is transphobic, but I do feel like because of her unfiltered delivery, her stuff comes across as she's not aware. She's a little ignorant in her approach about it. But instead of me being ready to come at her with a pitchfork and a glittered torch, this is the part where it's like, okay, I'm gonna sit you down. Like, listen, daughter, and we're going to have us a teachable moment, and we're going to talk about, I'm going to break it down to you on what it is. But you have to also realize that stop trying to put a label on these men, because a lot of times when it comes down to the men, they're not given the opportunity to figure out and explore their sexuality. Girls can sit up in here and, oh, I had a girl lick my coochie up in college and I could do all the other stuff and it's no problem. It's celebrated. It's accepted if girls play around with other women or do other stuff, as long as you ain't out here looking like Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres. But if you out here looking like Sofia Vergara and Shakira, oh, they here for each other, licking each other's labia minora and majora. So you have to look a certain way for the patriarchy to accept that aspect of it, because in their mind, a lot of these men thinking that they also going to be able to assert themselves in that same sex situation. It's a whole web that has been woven that we would have to unweave to get to the root of all of this. But yeah, so I just feel like I don't think she's trans. Now to get to what someone on social media, or Twitter specifically, because before I get to that, it was like she also said that Maddie did say it's important for men to make men feel comfortable to say that they find things attractive outside of what society accepts. And said that all women should be taking PrEP, a medication that helps prevent HIV. You should get PrEP and DoxyPrep. Also, I feel like yeah, y'all should be getting on that, because a lot of people think that only gay people should be getting on PrEP. No, y'all should be, heterosexuals should be doing, get on it too. And me working and for you know, when I told you when I used to work at HCQC, that was something big that we would get on women for doing too. Women should get on, heterosexual people should be on PrEP just as much as gay people. So, and people also need to get out of their head that AIDS and HIV is not just a gay man's disease. Anybody can get it. I know plenty of straight people with HIV. So yeah, so now Maddie did take the Twitter to respond to a user who was also defending the Housewives alum against criticism. And Tia said, I don't think she's transphobic. She said, some of her beliefs may come from a different time period or ideology. I myself have said and held transphobic ideas. I think she meant ideals, but and then learn better, move better. And I agree with that. I feel like as long as we're alive and we breathe air on this earth, there's always a moment that we should be having that's teachable. So we can't expect everybody to be at the same wavelength that we are all the time. And that's what I get. That's another thing that I like to poke at my community as well, the queer community. When a lot of you new age queers want to jump in and y'all want to come up with all these pronouns and all this other stuff, and it's like, yeah, I'm willing to understand and learn it, but you have to meet people where they at in a lot of situations. You can't be out here so quick to fight and windmill on people who are not on the mentally where you are. So it's like, yes, we're always going to be out here, whatever level of queerdom that you are part of, where we always going to have to educate. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But there's always going to be situations where we got to sit and we got to educate the masses, especially when you're in those, when you have that platform like a T.S. Madison does, where you have to teach people, give the people these teachable moments. So, you know, if I wasn't as mature as I was, if this was me a couple of years ago and I would have heard this, I would have went a lot harder on NeNe. But when you know better, as you said, when you learn better, you move better. When you know better, you do better. Is what they say. But I do feel like also, NeNe, if you're notorious for floating in queer circles, whether it be a gay man who beat your face, glue down your lace fronts, or have them in your circle, especially with you living in Atlanta, you would think that she would basically have more progressive understanding when it comes to queer community and relationships. So it's like, maybe because it didn't affect her and there was no understanding of that. But yeah, it's like, let's stop punishing men. I mean, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if let's not punish men who have tendencies where they want to explore who they are as people, and let's not be so quick to put labels on them, because not everybody is all for the labels and the identity politics and all that other mess. So I just felt like it made me uncomfortable when NeNe was up there talking about, oh yeah, so what is he or what are you? Is it this and is this? I mean, if you're with a trans woman, then that means you're gay, or that means you're bi, or that means you're a pan. Excuse me. That means you like dick or whatever. And it's like, okay, so you like a chick with a dick, but not every chick walking around has a dick still. So we just have to. It's just, this is a heavily nuanced conversation that it probably would take like more than this little segment that it would take me to break it on down on a trans person. But I will say shout out to a lot of the people that have been giving their discourses. I did see yesterday, because I was in her live chat where she was on Instagram. Hope Giselle did a whole situation on that. I don't know if it's still up or it might be gone, but yeah, she did a whole little video on talking about this whole situation yesterday. So shout out to her. And shout out to those of y'all who are open-minded and trying to understand all this other stuff that's going on. So yeah, I want to definitely hear from you in regards to this story, because I'm sure that we're going to continue to hear more stories surrounding this. Like, I'd rather someone like a NeNe who's willing to be open and understanding and willing to open their mind up and try to understand the situation, regardless of how unfiltered and ratchet it came across from out of her mouth, versus somebody like that dingbat over there at the Breakfast Club, just he not hilarious. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Not my edges are gone and I've accepted it. Yes, not trainee. Oh, could you know she be saying that all the time on her show. Cis women, cis het, if you want to be specific, are finally realizing that there is no Santa Claus and that their so-called straight men are outside with okay? Not with everybody. It said there's a lot to it damn show is. NeNe thinks exactly how many straight women do. Exactly. And that's what I've been saying. Like, NeNe was basically a representation of how a lot of black women particularly think. I've been around and raised around enough black women to know how black women think, especially when it comes to the libidical community. So yeah. It's like, yes, she definitely is a representation of that. You are what? Wait, who's Peter Mon? I need to look that person up. Who's that? Oh, you said he's a writer? Oh damn, he's 53. I was like, who's that? It said Goodreads author Peter Mon is a native of Indianapolis, where he lives with his dashing husband. You say he's a dreamer, a romantic, a moonchild, a lover of carnivals. Okay. Well, I will take that as a compliment. And you said these straight men be getting it in You think R. Kelly getting it in prison? Going back to that early story, I know some people don't like labels, but it's something that you can't escape from, no matter how detached or free spirit you are. Yeah, I mean, we have like the newer generations that's fighting against the whole. But then again, it's almost hypocritical, because we have people that do try to fight against the label situation, but then you have these people who come in with like 80,000 labels before I even know what the hell their name is. So I'm like, which one is it? Where's your scooter? Where is it? Trans people blur the lines of sex, but that is not the intention most times, though perhaps sometimes they're not trying to be clocked and the men are hitting on them. And 9 times out of 10, like I told you yesterday, these men know. These men be knowing who they getting with. So when they be sitting there to my, oh, I didn't know she was trans, you was a damn lie. Because y'all be knowing, y'all be clocking a lot of them girls' souls. And you say you're going to be labeled or label yourself in some shape or form, regardless of how hard you try to fight. Yeah, I was looking him up. I was like, maybe I need more information on him, but I do see he has a YouTube. All right. All right, y'all. So let's get into our next topic. Speaking of which, speaking of where's your scooter? Fuck the scooter. Where's your home? Your new home. Let's talk about Kim and Kroy, because apparently they've been evicted from their foreclosed Georgia mansion. And they didn't even leave on their own accord. They got evicted by the U.S. Marshals. Now, talk about sad and embarrassing. So, the Alpharetta home, which had been a point of contention in Kim and Kroy's ongoing divorce, officially sold for $2.8 million in January, property records state. 3 months after the sale, the ex-couple was ejected from their home by U.S. Marshals, per the writ in possession filed on April 9th. The document states that marshals were commanded to remove Kim, 47, and Kroy, 39, with his/her property hereon from said house and premises, and to deliver full and quiet possession to the new owners. According to the filing, the process took place between 3:30 p.m. and 6:45 p.m. local time on Tuesday, April 8th. So why are we talking about this in June? Why is this coming out now? Because yeah, this was an actual recent story. Wait, let me double check because I'm like, if I'm over here releasing old news, I'm gonna be tight. And I checked earlier too. Yeah, this story came out today. Why are we just now finding out a story from April is being talked about in June? Did nobody actually care? Or was it a slow news day that this was like y'all had this in the chamber and the you know the your editor was like, okay, just release this story because it's a real slow news day. So they said on the same day that they were ejected, Kim was selling furniture from their home on her IG story, starting with her daughter Ariana Biermann's bedroom set. This is what, according to People, saying, quote, Ariana bedroom's furniture is for sale, 10 grand, hand-painted, perfect condition. The Real Housewives of Atlanta alum captured in a photo of the fully furnished color bedroom in their former home. And if y'all been paying attention, I don't know if y'all watching that Next Gen, whatever the hell it's called, over there on Bravo, but according to Ariana, Kim is a mess when it comes to the money. So it's like, if y'all buying up their furniture and things up out of that house, where's that money going? Because according to Ariana, Kim was out here buying Ariana, the recent story, she said, Kim was buying Ariana gifts with her own money. So how you using my money to buy me a gift? Like, I could have just used my own money to buy me a gift. The ghetto. Okay, so that is said, according to the Post, the furniture was originally purchased for $43,657. She also noted that the pieces were available for pickup only, including a canopy platform bed, a set of sky blue dressers, a multicolored wardrobe, a white desk with a cheetah-colored chair, and other decor items, along with 23-year-old Ariana, who Kroy legally adopted along with her older sister Brielle, who's 28, in July 2013. The former couple share 4 more children together, which will be Kroy, KJ Jagger Jr., Cascade, and twins Kaya, Rose, and Kane Wren. The sale of the property came 1 month after the Bravo star and former NFL players saw their home face a foreclosure and being put up for public auction. So this is embarrassing that y'all allowed yourselves to get to this place because Kim is a perfect example of a reality star who knows was so far up in the damn air and wanted to live beyond her means and this, that, and the other. And I just saw a post today, an advertisement, I guess we can call it, that Kim and her daughter Brielle, speaking of which, are going to premiere on some botched episode. And I'm like, child, you need more than some damn botched. So yeah, I do wonder where they are residing now because I have no idea where she's living. First of all, I don't know how after everything that you was going through with Kroy and all them allegations and the cops constantly being called to the house that y'all was still living under the same damn roof. I mean, I get it; it's a big mansion and there's probably plenty of space for y'all to move around, but it'd be a cold day in hell if I'm ready to take the life of somebody who's pissed me off to the point that I'm in a relationship with. I'm moving out. I'm not living up in there. But if both your names is on the deed, then I guess you would stay up in there until you're kicked out. But I would have been like, if the house was sold or whatever, I would have still been looking for my own place and not getting to the point where, okay, so we got squatters' rights. I guess that's what you would call it. If I don't know what the rules are in regards to squatters' rights out in Georgia, but I would have just been like ready to move. I would not be up in there staying in the house until I get kicked out. I mean, then again, she did say in that, what was it, the Instagram video that she made? Oh, I'ma leave when I decide to leave. Oh, y'all, because all the rumors that was going on around that the house was in foreclosure and they didn't have money. They wasn't paying the bills up in that house to the point where the banks had to step in. And Kim was up on social media being all, her delusional self. That wig clearly was on too damn tight. And she was going in and coming up with all her delusions of grandeur. And now look where we at. Everybody sitting there like, okay, bitch. Now you was out here popping all this mess on social media. Now look at you. Lost the home that you said you was never going to leave. And I'm not here to gloat. I'm just basically being the reflection of the mirror that you held up in front of everybody. Now that mirror looking back at you, niece. Well, she and I around the same age, so I should probably call her sis. So I'll say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are on Miss Kim Zolciak and them being evicted, where we finding out 2 damn months later that she and Kroy was evicted by the damn U.S. Marshals from their mansion, kicking and screaming, metaphorically, not literally. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. This also should open up the conflict within the rainbow spaces as well. Gay versus lesbian, them versus bi/pen, misogyny from gay by men, misandry from lesbians. Don't even get me started on that whole, well, we did that story on JoJo Siwa yesterday and Miley Cyrus. They was out here accusing her of being biphobic because of a joke she made. And I'm like, we're not going to do that because based off of JoJo's reputation, I can see why people don't believe necessarily that she's bisexual. It's not about bi erasure as a whole. It's just with her, we're not buying it. But many aren't ready for. Nope. It's a lot to unpack. Like we're saying, wow, it's a Marshall's OMG. They had opportunities to sell. So sad. They could have hosted paid parties, so many things. Well, I don't think Kim is that smart that she can come up with all that. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, first of all, who gonna buy one of her used wigs? And you know, Kim out here trying to be a capitalist, but the thing is, she's once you making all that money, like, what are you doing? You have allegedly a gambling addiction, according to. Well, I mean, we've seen it on TV, but according to Kroy, he's like, she got a gambling addiction. You can take the people out the trailer park. ... But you can't take the trailer park out the people. What kind of lifestyle leads to this? She's still gambling, shopping addiction. It was like when you on TV living that lavish life. But then she was trying to play all that up anyway when she was with Big Papa. So when you trying to live beyond your means and doing that whole situation, thank God she ain't getting no white collar crime type stuff like Teresa Giudice, who allegedly is still involved in that mess. What a way to destroy a family. Big Papa would have. I wonder what Big Papa looked like. Not Bethany, after acting like she was better than the other housewives. Wait, what Bethany do? Besides, I heard that she got mad at Joy Behar for saying her boobs is fake. But I heard she moved to Florida. She recently sold she had a mansion in Connecticut. She sold that for $8 million. So she's out here doing well. Okay, y'all, let's get into our second to the last topic. Let's get into some Drag Race news. So apparently Drag Race France has announced the 10 queens who are going to be competing on the show. And we already got a date. It's coming out next month. So I'm pretty much excited for a brand new season of Drag Race France because I don't watch a lot of the international shows. But I have to say, out of the ones that I like, I love Drag Race España. I love France. And I like UK because UK, I feel like they just don't take themselves seriously. So I like UK. And I wasn't really digging Down Under, but then when Michelle Visage hosted it, that made me like it that season. But anyway, so let's get into the story. So now let's bring back our Lé-Gen-Daire girls. I always love when, Nikki Doll says that. Makeup artist Cam Hugh and Drag Race France Season 2 contestant Moon are amongst the 10 queens competing to win Drag Race France All-Stars, which arrives July 10th on WoW Presents Plus. Now, France's first All-Stars season, which is the second international All-Stars, including the Versus the World Series, comes out of 3 seasons of the main show. The Drag Race France icons competing on this season are, when we'll get into their whole stories in a minute, like their whole breakdown. Ellipse from season 1, Cam Hugh from season 1, La Big Bertha from season 1, Magnetica from season 3, Mami Wata, who I like, from season 2, Misty Phoenix from season 3, Moon from season 2, Bish from season 2, Punani from season 2, and Soa the Muse season 1, and RuPaul's Drag Race Global All Stars. So I like the fact that Soa the Muse is getting her chance again. I would not be surprised if, because the many times that Soa the Muse has competed, that they might try to, because you already know how the producers be doing over there with Drag Race, how they'll make her be the winner of the season. So now they said that Drag Race Season 12 star Nikki Doll returns to host and judge, and Daphne Berkey returns to the panel. Kitty Smile, who judged the first 3 seasons of Drag Race France, is not on the panel for the season, but 2 new judges have joined the panel, Shy M and Loak Pridgen. I think that's how you say his name, their name. Here's the official description. Now, after 3 Lé-Gen-Daire seasons of Drag Race France, some of your fan favorite queens, I should say, are returning to face off once again for a grand prize of 30,000 euros. I wonder how much that actually turns out to be after taxes. As with any All-Stars format, there will be a bunch of twists and turns and a new set of rules. In each episode, the contestants will have to nail different challenges brought forth by the judges. The 2 top queens of the week will face off in a lip sync for that week's victory. The winner will win 2,500 euros, but more importantly, the supreme power of eliminating one of the 2 bottom queens. Weren't they doing that on another show? Like, I feel like that was done on like Canada. But they had like the golden beaver. That's what they was using. Now, as we said before, the season will premiere on July 10th on Wow Presents Plus in the US and worldwide, except for France, where it airs on France 2 and France TV. It will air on Wow Presents Plus at 1 p.m., which is the day and date of the local airing in France. And now another question they had was, will Drag Race France season 4 air this year? Because, 3 seasons, we got an All-Stars, which I think a lot of the shows have pretty much done that, have done it like that. I don't necessarily know if did the American season do it? Like wait 3 seasons and then we got an All-Stars, or did we start around I think we started around season 4. So they said that it is unconfirmed yet if a regular Drag Race France season 4 will air in 2025 or if Drag Race France All Stars is airing instead of season 4. And so, yeah, we have Ellipse, who is a subtort, flamboyant artist with an overflowing imagination, a seamstress and designer of her own outfits. She delivers poetic, intense, and striking performances on stage. Elected Miss Congeniality during the first season of Drag Race France, she proudly represents Bordeaux's drag. She performs alongside her drag family, the Familips, in shows flaunting creativity. She's back in the competition to show her evolution and is determined to bring the crown back to Bordeaux. Then we have Cam Hugh, who is a drag queen, content creator, makeup artist. Cam Hugh made a huge impression during the first season of her unique style, inspired by haute couture, combining elegance and modernity, making her a true fashion icon in the drag scene. An expert in makeup, she is the first French drag queen to collaborate with brands such as Sephora, Herborian, NYX, and Garnier, for which she became the face-off for a global company after her appearance on the show. And I also was like, I went over on their Instagram. I was like, hold on. Let me see if I can pull up. Wait, no, that's not where I wanted to go. I wanted to share my screen with y'all. And yeah, so we'll just keep it right here for now on the judges. So now we have La Big Bertha, who is known for starring in the first season of Drag Race France. La Big Bertha has been a burlesque icon for over 10 years. Since the show's finale, she has made notable appearances on cooking shows, humorously blending the art of drag with her love of gastronomy, and has collaborated with international artists, including Sam Smith. La Big Bertha will also be the opening act for musician Santa in June 2025, bringing her energy and unique style to the big stage. Then we have Magnetica, who, since her participation in season 3 of Drag Race France, Magnetica, the French Bolivian queen, continues to shine in the alternative queer scene. Inspired by the Club Kid aesthetic, she offers graphic and visual focused drag, pushing the boundaries of art. A regular in the Parisian scene, she is a strong advocate for the visibility of non-binary and Latin American identities through her hard-hitting performances, both as an artist and as a host on iconic drag shows. Mami Wata, who I actually like when she was on the show. Now, a finalist of season 2, Mami Wata, continues to shine on by performing in both French and international stages, where she thrills the public with her ever-daring and creative performances. She draws on her Ivorian heritage as much as on the ballroom and Afro-futurist aesthetic to create a strong, sexy, and charismatic visual experience. Misty Phoenix. Now, from season 3 of Drag Race France, Misty Phoenix still has all her overflowing energy and assertive creativity. A daring dancer and performer, she draws inspiration from the Marvel Universe, where she reinvents looks with a resolutely modern touch. Her powerful and dynamic drag is distinguished by performances combining careful staging and elaborate looks. Moon, name is congeniality of season 2. Moon offers a sensible drag, combining fashion, introspection, and artistic expression to create a universe that is both unique and deeply authentic. The first Swiss contestant on the show, she made an impression by proudly sharing her story as a trans woman. Her art highlights both underrepresented social topics such as the visibility of trans people and mental health. Bish, I don't know why I feel like it reminds me of quiche. A multidisciplined drag artist, Bish is a singer, rapper, and dancer who brings drag to the forefront of the French musical landscape. Her performance at the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games, Paris 2024, made a huge impression. Wasn't Nikki Doll also a part of that? Confirming her status as a daring and essential artist, she has recently unveiled an EP entitled Festin and started touring at famous venues and the biggest festivals in France, where she continues to share her music and passion and brilliance. Punani. I just love how somebody name themselves after they pussy or after a pussy. It says, since her participation in season 2 of Drag Race France, where she brilliantly reached the finale, Punani continues to mark the world of drag with her poetry, eloquence, and charisma, or as Michelle Wasabi would say, eloquence. With a unique style that mixes humor and vintage aesthetics, Punani deploys a surprising and inventive drag. Today, she continues to perform on the biggest French stages and remains active on social media with her longtime accomplice, Rose, where they share their creations and commitments. And last but certainly not least, we have Soa the Muse, who was a finalist in the first season of Drag Race France. Soa the Muse has since led a disciplined and committed artistic career. In 2022, she founded her own cabaret in Paris called La Bouche, offering a stage for, did she sing Be My Lover? For drag and queer artists, while addressing social issues. In 2024, she became the first Martinican, I think it's how you say that, Martinican drag queen to participate in RuPaul's Drag Race Global All-Stars, where she was crowned Global Lip Sync Assassin and elected Miss Global Peacemaker by her sisters in the finale. So before we get up off this, I was like, I don't know if y'all saw the pictures of all the girls when in regards to like their promo photos. So you have Soa the Muse, we got Punani, we have Bish, we have ourselves a Moon, Misty Phoenix. I like her outfit actually. Mommy Wata. She's giving, I love the hair though. Like it's giving like it's a little Grace Jones up in there. We have Magnetica. I definitely like the whole futuristic overall look. Definitely is a key. Big Bertha. I love the wig. And we have Cam Hugh, who I just want to call Sam Star so bad. But Jules Sparkle said, I'm sad. And Willem is up in there saying, work. And Plastic Tiara, cunt. Ellipse. Yeah, the girls definitely turning it out with the drag. And I think like that's with the French girls, they definitely be out here turning it out with the drag and stuff. So yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this upcoming season because I said I am a fan of Drag Race France. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what these girls bring over there when their new season premieres on Wow Presents Plus in July. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? You guys looking forward to, are you fans of Drag Race France? Are looking forward to seeing what the girls are going to be bringing over what the French girls are going to be bringing over here in the world of drag and drag competition. So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. I figured that's who you meant. I saw a lot of people talking about Soa being cast. If she does worse than she does on Global, it would be embarrassing. By the way, the queen that was allegedly cast on All Stars 11 but dropped out for a Lifetime show was allegedly Utica. She was just announced to be on the cast of Project Run. Oh, but that would totally make sense if Utica would go over there. I mean, look, Utica has been making some pretty good fashions, particularly for herself on not Project Runway. What am I talking about? On Drag Race, when she was doing a lot of her looks, which was everything. And then there's been a couple of Drag Race girls that have talked about how Utica made their looks. So Utica going on Project Runway, that's definitely a great fit. I would have definitely went on there and do that. And who knows, maybe down the road, once she gets on Project Runway, and if, I don't know if she'd be good enough to win. I would have to see what her overall fashions look like. But and so far, I'm liking all the judges and stuff they got, and I'm glad we got Heidi coming back. And I'm glad we got, even though I'm mad that y'all don't bring back Tim Gunn, I am glad that we got Christian Siriano being a part of the situation. So I'm not too mad at Project Runway and what they doing over there. So I'm looking forward to the upcoming season whenever they get around to finish filming it. All right, so now let's move on to our final topic. Let's talk about Noah's Ark. So we are, what is it? Today is the 11th, so I think like maybe next week or something or another, we should be getting the new season. Oh, the Noah's Ark movie. So yeah, now it's been 20 years since, Noah's Ark hit the airways, where it was like a big thing over on Logo. So Christian Vincent, who played the promiscuous Ricky, is basically speaking out on why the show still resonates with fans. And I am here for it. Well, hold on, because I was like, let me pull up the photo. Come on, Ricky, let's get set down. Now, Noah's Ark aired from 2005 to 2006 on Logo and starred Daryl Stevens, Rodney Chester, Christian Vincent, and Doug Spearman as Noah, Alex, Ricky, and Chance, which of course is like the ARC, which I don't know if anybody noticed that. It was like, yeah, you had Noah, and then Ark would be the friends, which would be Alex, Ricky, and Chance. So they take the first letter of each of their names to kind of play into that. And I was like, yes, that was cute. So the show was hailed as groundbreaking for focusing on 4 gay Black men in the early noughties, Los Angeles, and tackling subjects such as homophobia, sex, and AIDS, at a time when not many shows did. The comedy drama was continued in 2008 with Noah's Ark Jumping the Broom. The cast then reunited again in 2020 for Noah's Ark The Rona Chronicles. Noah's Ark the movie picks up the story of Noah and Wade, played by Jensen Atwood, as they prepare to adopt twins. At the same time, they both offer their dream jobs. A synopsis of the film teases shocking plot twists, laugh-out-loud comedy, and thrilling displays of dizzy, intoxicating, heart-lifting romance. Now, speaking of Pink News exclusively ahead of the film's release, Christian Vincent, who reprised his role as the promiscuous Ricky, as I called him earlier, said it felt very different entering the Noah's Ark world now compared to 2005. He said, quote, it really wasn't anything that you'd seen on television. This is what he said of the shows 2 decades ago. And it wasn't popular. It wasn't really popular for an actor's career to venture into this LGBTQ plus space. There was a lot of unknowns in doing it. But I did it because I wanted to. Even now, a show featuring predominantly Black queer characters remains rare, if it happens at all. Reflecting on the landscape of the time still, at the time still, Vincent says the show felt very niche. Part of the reason for this was that it was broadcast on Logo, a channel that would become famous only a few years later for hosting RuPaul's Drag Race, but at the time was brand new. But Vincent isn't convinced the show would have run longer than had it been broadcast after Drag Race debuted. He said that thought did go through my head, but I think Noah's Ark was on reruns at the time, so it's not that it wasn't on the network. He also went on to say there wasn't a lot of publicity. I don't think they really knew what to do with it. I don't know how many advertisers would get behind a show like that at the time. I did feel like we were stepchildren in the industry. It got a little bit of press. It wasn't the greatest press. Okay, so before we move on with that, I definitely want to unpack a little bit of that so far. I'm going to have to agree with him on that because you want to know something? To me, it feels like the same conversation that was had. Well, I don't know if y'all watching the Reliving Single podcast, but I remember like this was something that they also talk about, which is like when Living Single came out, they weren't getting a lot of press and stuff with the show either. Oh, wait, it wasn't Living Single. They might have been Living Single too. It was New Undercover. New Undercover, I remember when they was doing an interview. I think they were on Tamron Hall, and they brought back Michael DeLorenzo, Lauren Velez, and Malik Yoba. And they were talking about how, like, when they would go on the Fox lots, all the things they had to fight for, even though Living Single also had their issues where they had to fight for things, the crafts table, or something, like so much drama going on behind the scenes, and the way that they treat Black talent versus the white talent, where all the Friends cast came together collectively and got what they wanted, But it was like when black people came and stepped up, then you saw T.C. Carson got fired, that whole sort of thing. But yeah, when it was New Undercover, they mentioned that when they try to, that, you know, they didn't get a lot of the promotion that they were supposed to get for the show, that there was a lot of behind the scenes drama with the way they were being treated by the networks. And it's sad to hear that that's something that you have to deal with. And the fact that it was like, yeah, when you look at it at the time, like, that's why I always say, like, I feel like so many people take a lot of these shows for granted where there's a lot more queer representation than ever before. We still have a long way to go in regards of black queer entertainment. There's still slim pickings when it comes to that. So I remember when Noah's Ark first came out, like, I was heavily excited. And it wasn't only because of Noah's Ark, it's because I was a Patrick Ian Polk fan for a while. I remember when his movie Punks first came out, and that was like this little independent film, and it was playing on the little circuits or whatever, you know, the festivals and all other stuff, and then like the independent queers movie spaces were showing it. And I remember when that movie first came out, and the overall excitement that a lot of my black queer friends had gotten when that movie came out. And unfortunately, when it came out in theaters, I never got the opportunity to see it. But years later, I did catch all his other stuff. The Skinny with Jussie Smollett, and some of the other projects that Patrick M. Polk has been a groundbreaker in regards of the type of content he's been putting out and pushing forth regarding the representing stories around black queer men. So while you have Tyler Perry that hits a certain niche and a certain market with his people, to me, it felt like the one person, I mean, we had Maurice Jamal and a bunch of others too, may he rest in peace. But we also had, like, so it was great at that time, like in the 2000s, when we had people who were creating content that was for us, even if it was just like a little, and then when YouTube started becoming this new thing, people were filming things and putting it on YouTube as well. So at the time, it's like, yeah, Noah's Ark wasn't getting the representation that it should have gotten. Logo was a relatively new channel. And so they have the little things, and they have the big gay sketch show that Coleman Domingo was a part of. Now you see how big Coleman Domingo is as an actor, how his career has progressed since him being on the big gay sketch show. I think Johnny McGovern was on that show too. But so we had a couple of little things on Logo, but it was like, yeah, but when it came down to it, it was this show, and it was RuPaul's Drag Race. But I guess they invested a little more in RuPaul's Drag Race because RuPaul is an actual name. He's a name that was well known within the queer spaces, but also people in the mainstream knew him too because he had that crossover moment throughout the 90s until his career kind of like went a little on life support a bit, and then RuPaul's Drag Race resurrected his career. So now, regardless, the show did find its audience. The first 2 episodes are available in full on the Logo YouTube channel. Well, actually, I believe if you have Paramount Plus, you can also watch Noah's Ark on there. I actually own both seasons in a box set, so I could put on Noah's Ark anytime. And also, like, yeah, like I said, if you have Paramount Plus, you could watch the episodes on there. I think they also have Jumper the Broom and stuff on there too. I gotta check. Now, they said, yeah, the first 2 episodes are available on the Logo YouTube channel. One look at the comments shows how much the show means to people, namely queer people of color. Vincent said the response from fans, even in the pre-social media age, outweighed all the whatever negative came. That was a mixed response. And the positive reception from the community affirmed to Vincent that doing the show had been the right choice, saying, quote, a lot of people in my life were iffy about doing it. They didn't think it was going to be super beneficial for my career. But having people talk to him over the years about they used to store the DVDs under their beds or sneakily watch it at night has further validated Vincent. He said it helped people. And you want to know something? This is the same. Wait, before I even get to my comment, I'm going to just finish what he had to say. So he also went on to say, it's the reason why I came back when we did the Rona Chronicles. I told Patrick, I'm coming back to do this because of the people who love the show. And the same thing now with the movie. I really appreciate people who appreciate us. And people have to realize, like, yeah, back in the day in the 2000s, especially when it was just like, this is something that we never really experienced. I think the same thing that a lot of us got when Queer as Folk, how people would sneak and watch it Not me. I had that recorded on my damn cable box. So when I was a kid, my parents already knew what I was watching because I was already out. So I would watch Queer as Folk. I watched Noah's Ark. And I just, but I totally get those people who pretty much have to hide and sneak and watch certain things because of their upbringing and because this is something that we've never experienced or seen before. So it's a bit on the taboo side. Now, speaking further on the continued appreciation for Noah's Ark, Vincent believes there's still a void that's not been filled since the show came off the air. He said that's why I think it resonates with the fans. While Pose touched upon shit. Hold on, let me read that again. While Pose is touched upon as a potential successor, Vincent said the writers of Pose have described Noah's Ark as its predecessor, saying there still has yet to be a show that is equivalent to Noah's Ark, which is just a group of Black LGBTQIA individuals on TV. Addressing the void left by Noah's Ark, Vincent puts it down to the outdated idea that media featuring non-white, cisgender, and heteronormative narratives don't sell, which has been an argument that I've been having for 100 years already. Like, even down to the point where they keep saying with Black people that, black people can't sell movies overseas. People don't want to go out and watch Black people in this, that, and the other. And we have proven time and time again that, yes, there is an audience out there. And now that we're in this age of social media, trust and believe, it is a lot easier to find an audience where you can tell the stories that need to be told. And I keep saying this for the longest. We definitely need more queer representation on TV, particularly queer people of color. We don't have enough of it. Like, I felt like after Noah's Ark, there was still like this big gap and this big void, and we don't have that. So we need more of those people. Like, even with my friend went and did the Strange Love show that I was telling y'all about that you can find on YouTube. That's like a Noah's Ark-esque show from the Latino perspective. So following 4 queer Latin friends, men, who live in LA. Similar concept. Some people would say, oh, y'all just trying to copy on Sex and the City. But one of the things that I feel like that people tend to forget, y'all want to talk about Sex and the City, you want to talk all this other stuff. First of all, y'all all took y'all shit from Living Single. Because Living Single came before Friends and before Sex and the City. So if y'all going to sit up here and do that, y'all not going to sit up here and try to take credit and just only give it to the white shows. Now, they also said on whether there are still issues with racism and homophobia in the entertainment industry. Vince's reply is simple: always. While recognizing the progress that has been made in the last 20 years, he adds, there's still a long way to go. So, while Noah's Ark, this movie is coming out at a time where this is a difficult time for the queer community, especially with what's happening with this current administration. I think this is the perfect time that it needs to come. And I always feel like when things happen, when we're up, when our backs are against the wall, we're under attack from a lot of these organizations that don't see it from us, these closet cases like JD Vance and Mike Johnson, who want to sit and eradicate all these organizations, and people who like to wallow in their own hate, like Stephen what's the name? Stephen Smith? The one with the receding hairline? So while we got all these other haters and stuff from the Trump administration that's trying to pull all the puppet strings and this, that, and the other, this is the time where we need to be more resilient. We got to get out here and fight for the things that we have seemed like we got a little too comfortable and taken for granted. And yes, I hope that this Noah's Ark movie is a reminder that, or a whistle that goes off where it's like, it inspires the next generation to want to pick up a camera, write a screenplay. Shit, this is even inspiring me as an artist to want to create something and get that representation back out there, because we definitely need it. And for those who want to say, oh, it won't sell, I'm like, who are you trying to sell this to? The straight white folks? Like, stop always trying to sell things to people who will be the difficult sell, and focus on the people who are hungry for this type of content. And that's what we should be focusing on as creatives, as marketers, as artists, is like, create the things that we know that a certain demographic are looking for. And if they respond to it, that's great. And if those other people who we're not really, if y'all want to come in and you want to be joining on the fun and the party and all that other stuff, if you want to be a part of the situation, we're not going to shut the door. You can come in and just enjoy what we're doing and what we're putting out here. If you want to get into our shows and support a Noah's Ark or a Queer as Folk type, one of those type of shows, then I don't think we'd be bothered by it. Because like I said, like Christian said, this show has changed a lot of people's lives. And I'm looking forward to seeing the movie when it comes out. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story regarding what Christian Vincent had to say about the upcoming Noah's Ark movie? Are you guys excited to see this? And do you feel like, we definitely need more representation in regards of like, particularly queer people of color? Like, where are those stories? And I love the fact, one of the things that I love, and I have no problem with interracial relationships. Like I said, I am a product of interracial relationships, but I love the idea that Noah's Ark explores Black love. Whereas it's like, if you want to be in an interracial relationship, we'll include that in the show, but that shouldn't be the only representation that you see on TV. That the only way that you can see a Black man in a relationship with someone is they have to be with a white man or a white woman. So I do like the idea they want to show like it is possible you could be in a same-sex relationship with someone that is the same complexion as you, because Noah and Wade is the same damn complexion. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Okay, they said, hold on, where we at? Yeah, it is on Paramount Plus. That's why I was like, they telling you it's on YouTube. I'm like, screw it, YouTube. They only got 2 episodes up there, but if you have Paramount Plus, you can pretty much go up there and watch the full season. It damn sure was. I hated that damn Queer as Folk. I remember at the time my roommate and I sat and we just verbally assaulted that show. We hated it so much. We just like ransacked it because it was like, this show is stupid. I see what it was that y'all was trying to do. Y'all wanted, because the overall complaint about Queer as Folk was the lack of diversity. And yeah, that is a genuine concern, especially if you're trying to talk about, y'all show take place in Pittsburgh. Although I would have preferred, if y'all going to do something based in Pennsylvania, where it's more like a city type, y'all should have pretended that y'all was in Philly. That's what you should have did. Not some damn Pittsburgh. They got houses and stuff in Philly. So y'all could have pretended that y'all was in Philadelphia, and they got a lot of gay bars and stuff out there. Because I was in Philly. I told you during the season when Safira Cristal was on Drag Race, I went out to Philly. So it's a cute little area. So I would have been like, that would have been more realistic for y'all to be doing that. But besides that, there should have been more diversity on Queer as Folk. And I feel like y'all was focused way too much on that aspect of the show rather than telling real and compelling stories and coming up with some likable characters. Because everybody on that show was unlikable. So say what you want about like some of the characters that we saw in Queer as Folk, like Brian or some of the things Michael would do, or Ted or Emmett or any of one of them. But at the end of the day, we all came back to being like, we had love-hate relationships with those characters. And we didn't get that from that Queer as Folk. I ended up hating all those characters. They were so annoying. I would sneak around and watch the homosexual YouTubers back in the day. So it was like, wow, we were doing it with shows. It's funny how like now the newer generation, they're like, we be sneaking and watching the YouTubers. How things again, because a lot of people don't really watch TV like we did when we were growing up. I saw the movie was added on Paramount. Okay, so that's good because then I can catch up on that too. Because it's been a minute since I've seen like Jumping the Broom and all that stuff. So I might actually, before the new movie comes on, I'll do a quick binge. At least with Noah's Ark. So the one thing I've been wanting to rewatch Queer as Folk, the old ones, but they changed out so much of the music that I can't watch the old shows. Like I have to literally watch the DVDs that I have because I have all the box sets, except for I think the final season I don't have. I got to get that. But the DVDs have all the original music on it, and that was the only thing that was one of the many things I loved about the original Queer as Folk. So I want to go back to, so that was the only way I could watch it because I can't watch the ones that's on Showtime because they changed out all the music and it takes me out of the. I'm like, these are bad renditions of these songs. Listen, my mom was a model in Studio 54. Oh, he said, I was brought up with everyone. I think there needs to be more representation. Absolutely. I'm like, well, damn, you was you be knowing the people. I said there are black people in other countries too. Apparently they don't think so. Because I'm sitting there like, black people don't only exist in America. Y'all seem to forget how black folks got here. But black people do exist all over the world besides in the United States. So it's like these people live in a damn, when you got a lot of these white folks that's running stuff, they can't see beyond their own, nose. He said it's like people think all Latinos are from that part, and that's always an insult or annoying when they be like, y'all be thinking everybody that's of Latin descent is freaking Mexican, and I'm just like, okay, like what are you, slow? Oh, I don't like that. They said DNC is removing David Hogg and Malcolm Kenyatta as vice chairs. The Democratic Party is fucked. Thoughts and prayers. They're not interested in progression or change. They want the same old, same old. Well, I was like, wait, what is this? Why am I looking at that? Let me get off my damn phone. Because I was sitting there like, why am I looking at David Archuleta next to, they doing on MTV and Lance Bass is up there on the stage. But anyway, let me get up off here. So yeah, we're at the end of the show, y'all. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I will not be on tomorrow. I'll be back Friday though, because I got a gig, so I'll be doing that. But yeah, I'll be back on Friday with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. So before we get up off here, if you could one last time do me a solid, if you have not already, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Thank you all for tuning in to this messy episode. Love you all for watching. Thank you all for the continued support and jumping in the comments and keeping this show lit while I, run my mouth for over 3 hours. So yeah, love you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, ciao, darlings.